Yo, what is going on? Twitch.tv/aDrive. It's your boy Dan, aka aDrive. Bring you guys the WBE Season 2 draft stream. But I am not alone. I am here with my partner. His name is Crimson Seabed.
What is going on? Twitch.tv/aDrive. It is your family-friendly Crimson Seabed here with the co-hosting talent for the WBE draft stream. I hope you guys are having a fantastic day. What's up, bud?
Not much, man. I'm excited to kick off this draft stream. I'm excited to showcase all the teams that have been drafted. We got a couple new coaches this season here for WBE Season 2. If you guys didn't know, WBE is a draft league format where we have 16 coaches that are going to be drafting various teams in various tiers. You can type !WBE in the chat to kind of check all that out and get some information there in terms of, you know, what Pokemon are available to draft and what coaches there are and so on and so forth. Otherwise, like I said, we've got a bunch of new coaches. We've got some teams that have changed their logos, primarily one of them being Wolf Glick and the Milwaukee Bewares, who is our Season 1 champion. So he's back, ready to try to defend his title. Otherwise, we've got some new coaches, including our first pick, Lord Envy himself and the San Diego Chim Chargers. Returning, the New Orleans Pelipers and Pokemon. We've got the Free State Torcats and Coach Duncan Knee Deep as a new coach. We've got you and the Detroit Type Nulls sporting that brand new logo, Crimson Seabed.
We have me. Yes.
We have you. We've got the Bristol City Blazekins and Game Boy Luke, who just raided us. Thank you, Luke. We've got, as I mentioned, Wolf Glick and the Milwaukee Bewares. We've got Shitty Penguin making his return to Draft League Pokemon with the New York Mankeys. We've got Kyle A, the only team and the only coach that matters, and the Miami Don fan. Of course, Galactic Elliott and the Chicago Cub Shoes coming back for another season. Data Dave going day-to-day with Data Dave, Chase. We got the Kansas City Crocker Rocks, got a new logo.
You silly, aDrive. You silly.
You silly, Chase. We got the Minnesota Vikavolt. That's me, Coach aDrive. I was the Rampardos. We're bringing back the Vikavolts this season. Got the Atlanta Umbreons and Coach Fanatax. It is finally time for Fanatax to return. We got the Pittsburgh Pikachus and Numb Nexus. Making his debut to the WBE, Deathly and the Seattle Drizzlers. Will he draft Rain? I don't know. We'll find out.
We'll find out.
We've got Patters and the Newcastle Nido Kings. And then wrapping it up, we've got Mr. Talent and the Talent Squad, the New York Marauders. What do you think of this lineup, Crimson Seabed?
It's a tough one. It's a tough one. As someone competing, it's actually a tough one. As a spectator, as somebody watching the league, this is probably one of the more stacked leagues that I've seen. Got a lot of good talent in here. Got a lot of really well-versed people in the form as far as Pokemon goes, as far as competitive Pokemon goes. I think it's going to be a good season.
I would have to agree that I think it's going to be a good season as well. We've got, like you mentioned, an all-star lineup of some of the best entertaining coaches on YouTube, which is our goal. It's World Battle Entertainment. The goal is entertainment. The goal is fun battles. The goal is to have a good time, and we've got some great coaches to make that happen. So, before we get started here, really quickly, if you guys are interested in checking out all the different coaches, you can type in the names with commands in the chat, ! Cubchoose, ! Pichus, ! Mankeys, ! Torcats, and so on and so forth. That will get you a link to not only their Twitter name, but their YouTube channel as well. So please be sure to go follow everyone on Twitter and subscribe to their channels. Would be much appreciated. If you guys could take to Twitter and tell people about what's going down, that would be super duper cool, so people know what's going down with the draft stream. Now, we have our draft order going down. We got the draft order. Like I said, Lord Envy and the Chim Chargers are kicking things off here with the first pick overall. Then you're going to see the Pelipers, the Torcats, the Nulls, the Blazekins, the Bewares, the Mankeys, the Don Fans, the Cub Shoes, the Crocker Rocks, my team, the Vikavolts, the Umbreons, the Pichus, the Drizzlers, the Nido Kings, and the Marauders wrapping up in round 1. So you can kind of see how the draft goes, 1 through 4, 2, 5 through 8, so on and so forth. Pretty obvious right in front of you. That's your draft order right there. And yeah, man, it's going to be fun. ! WBE will give you a document to see what Pokemon are available, what the rules are, all that good stuff. Chase, any crazy first round predictions?
I think that 2 people will draft a Mega Pokemon.
Okay.
That's my crazy prediction. I don't know about you. What is your? Give me a crazy
I
prediction.
think the first 2 picks will be Mega Pokemon.
Okay.
And I think that they're going to be in some way related to each other.
Okay.
All right, you ready to jump into this draft?
I am ready.
All right, who let Envy get the first pick? I don't know, but let's jump right into it. Round 1, pick number 1, Lord Envy and your San Diego Chim Chargers are going to grab Mega Latias.
Incredible. It's a great pick. I had Mega Latias last season, and it was a absolutely fantastic mon, especially in this format, being able to hold a Z Crystal as well. I mean, it's just, it's absolutely a powerhouse of a mon. How do you feel about this?
Correct. I do want to just bring up a point that we didn't mention. One of the key rules to WBE is that coaches over the 12 rounds are going to be drafting a Z Crystal, and that Z Crystal can be used by any Pokemon on the team, but you only get one Z Crystal, and the Mega Pokemon can either hold a Mega Stone or that specific Z Crystal. So we'll see what Envy decides to pair that up with, but my prediction comes true! The Pelipper's and Pokemon grab Mega Latios as well. 2 of the best Megas, of course. They're so bulky, and they can work with some... What?
You can't just let these things not be there on the first round. I mean,
I know. They're too good. They're too good, dude. They're too good. So, the Mega Latties going real quick there. Obviously very powerful. Their bulk is just insane. Ability to remove hazards with defog, that's super duper valuable in itself. So, you know, that's just so much value in those picks. They hit really, really hard, and their ability to set up with Calm Mind or Dragon Dance in the case of Latios are just too strong. But Duncan knee deep with his first pick. Chase, talk to me about Tapu Koko.
Tapu Koko is one of those Pokemon that is just so very incredible. It's so fast. It hits pretty hard from both the physical and the special side. It has access to Defog now in Ultra Sun and Moon. It can be a reliable screen setter. It gets the Nature's Madness move, which is a fairy type Super Fang, doing 50% of your opponent's health. I mean, it's a fantastic pick. I love this. Setting the electric terrain as another incredible thing, boosting its own stab. It's awesome.
Yeah, very, very powerful Pokemon, and can work with a couple different Z Crystals, but you're gonna go and get Kyurem Black in round 1, pick 4. Chase, why Kyurem Black?
Kyurem Black just hits so hard. I mean, I was thinking of Mega Lati like last season. I was thinking of a few other options, and there was just so many things that I just wanted to work with. And there's so many different cores you can make with Kyurem Black, but those stats, man, the speed's a little underwhelming, but with those stats, man, I'm about to poke some holes. That's what I'm ready for.
More than poke some holes. You're about to destroy some teams, dude. 170 base attack. We're going to see Game Boy Luke and the Bristol City Blaze Kids with their first pick grabbing Zygarde 50%. For some reason, Zygarde 50% gets overlooked a lot of times in Draft League. I don't know why. This thing is a monster. There are no switch-ins to a Choice Banded 1,000 Arrows aside from, like, a Raquinid, dude. I don't know, man. This thing is so good, like... Its stab is insane because it can hit flying and levitate Pokemon. So it really, there's not many Pokemon that can switch in effectively. Not to mention its ability to set up Dragon Dance and Coil. Subcoil is a great set to stop, you know, obviously like Toxic and things like that. And it does have that one big 4x weakness to Ice, but it's got a lot of natural bulk, so usually an HP Ice isn't enough to take it down. The champion... Wolf Glick and the Milwaukee Bewares are grabbing Mew, the most versatile Pokemon in the format. Chase, what do you think about this pick for the champion?
I think, first off, I think Wolf Glick grabbing Mew, that's dangerous. That's dangerous right there. But Mew's a great pick. Mew's a great pick overall. It's pretty commonly forced into somewhat of more of like a defensive role with like Will-O-Wisp and Defog and maybe some coverage moves. But I have seen people use it very, very well. And I think somebody as well versed in the game of Pokemon as Wolf is going to really just start showcasing a lot of sets that you can run. I think it's a fantastic pick overall. I'm excited to see it. We've got Shady Penguin and the New York Yankees. First pick for their team overall, Tapu Fini, a solid water fairy type for the team, being able to set up a Misty Surge to prevent grounded Pokemon from inflicting status ailments on each other. I think it's an incredible pick. It lacks a little bit of recovery, but with leftovers, with moves like Aqua Ring and things like that, I think it's an awesome pick. How do you feel about Fini?
I think it's a great Pokemon, dude. It gives you a really good defogger, and I just feel like the combination of water and fairy as a stab type is so good. As, you know, we both used Primarina before, and I think Fini is just a bulkier version of that. It's really effective. Kyle A. and the Miami Don fans grabbing Mega Charizard X. So we actually see our third Mega go, and it's Charizard X, which does wipe Charizard Y and regular Charizard off the board now to be drafted. Mega Charizard X sports incredible stats, removing that 4x weakness and just having that big weakness to ground and rock, essentially, from that point forward being Dragon and Fire type. Its ability to set up Dragon Dance is insane, and it just could break through teams with Dragon Claw, Flare Blitz, and it has other coverage moves. Also, it can be really bulky with Roost, too, so as long as you get a good hazard remover to kind of protect it, it's a really effective Pokemon. Galactic Elliott and the Chicago Cubs, she's grabbing Mega Lopunny here in round 1. Mega Lopunny known for its 135 base speed stat. Talk to me about Lopunny, Chase.
Lopunny's awesome. It's got the scrappy ability, so there's no real genuine switch into this monster. Obviously, you can create, you know, your bulkier type Pokemon to be able to switch in, but what the scrappy ability allows it to do is allows it to hit ghost types with its normal and its fighting stat, which is really cool. We've seen sets such as Baton Pass, we've seen sets such as Power Up Punch Last Resort. We've seen pretty common sets such as Fake Out, High Jump Kick, maybe an Elemental Punch, and then Return. I think it's a great pick overall. I think it's a fantastic pick. Next up here, we have Data Dave and the Kansas City Crocorox grabbing Jirachi. I love me some Jirachi. Base 100s across the board. Steel Psychic type Pokemon gives it some good natural resistance because of its typing. It does have the Serene Grace ability, doubling the secondary effects of moves. So Ice Punch now has that 20% chance to freeze. Body Slam has that 60% chance to paralyze. All that fun stuff. I love it. Tell me about Jirachi.
Jirachi's great, dude, and it seems like every time I do a draft, Jirachi gets taken the pick before me. I think that's happened like 3 times now, so I've never gotten a chance to really use it, but I get Landorus Therian form instead. Decided to go with Landorus T. I got a cool strategy this season for the draft. So Landorus T, obviously known as the king of OU. It's got that big ice weakness, but otherwise it's a great defogger, great hazard remover. Intimidate's really nice, good choice scarfer. Sets up with Swords Dance and Rock Polish. If paired with the proper Z move, it can just absolutely break through teams with that 145 base attack. And its special attack is not something to scoff at. I love the versatility that this thing runs. And I think as a round 1 pick, dude, it's just such a good Pokemon. So I don't have a ton of experience with it, but I'm excited to use it, and obviously it's the king of OU for a reason. We've got Mega Gardevoir here for Fate Attacks the Atlanta Umbreons. I know it's a big favorite of his. Chase, what do you think about this Mega Gardevoir pick?
Mega Gardevoir was actually, excuse me, on my radar for pairing with Kyurem Black. With the Pixelate ability, it did receive a little bit of a nerf in Gen 7, with Pixelate now only powering moves by an extra 20%. However, it still has an incredible base special attack, Hyper Voice being paired with that Pixelate ability, being able to toss off huge Psy Shocks, being able to set up with Calm Minds, has access to Will-O-Wisp, Priority, and Shadow Snake. Can also be a Memento user, if I'm not mistaken, as well, or Healing Wish, one of the tournament. Maybe both, I don't know.
A Healing Wish for sure.
Healing Wish for sure. It's fantastic Pokemon. We got Numb Nexus in the Pittsburgh Pichus grabbing Celesteela. Now, this is personally a favorite of mine. I think it's a great pick overall. It can do anything. It can absolutely do anything. I mean, you can run a physical wall, you can run a special wall, you can run a physical attacker, you can run a special attacker, you can toss an assault vest on that thing. And with its beast boost ability, being able to boost specific stats depending on how it's built is absolutely amazing. I think it's a fantastic pick. Can't wait to see what he decides to pair with that, because a good supportive core definitely puts Celesteela in charge of a captain's role in the team. We have Tyler Deathly and the Seattle Drizzlers grabbing Victini. You can talk to me about Victini.
Dude, I love this pick. One of my absolute favorite picks, and I have a rule for myself in every draft I go into. If Victini's allowed, and if it's still there in round 2, I'm grabbing it. I've used it like 4 times now. This thing is one of the hardest things to switch into because of Choice Banded V-Create. It's got such a high base stat, basically, for that attack, so it just hits so hard. But it's also a very versatile Pokemon. You can run Trick Room on it with V-Create. You can run, you know, Flame Charge. You can run Choice Scarf sets, Specially Offensive, Expert Belt. It can do a lot of different things, and it's a very good Pokemon. Patters picking up Mega Venusaur. I feel like I remember Patters having Mega Venusaur and Slowbro in the past, I think at the UCL. Mega Venusaur is one of my favorite Megas, dude. It's just so bulky, dude. Only having that thick fat, reducing its weakness to ice and fire, making it only a weakness to flying and psychic. So very bulky, can recover itself with Synthesis, it has Leech Seed, can spread toxics around that don't miss, Sludge Bomb, Giga Drain, Knockoff, Earthquake, a lot of different options there. It's just got so much bulk. And you can make it offensive as well if you wanted to. And in this league, not having a Mega, you can take advantage of regular Venusaur with Sun using Chlorophyll. So we'll see if he decides to bring a Sunsetter later on his draft. But the New York Marauders grabbing Tapu Bulu to wrap up round 1. Tapu Bulu known as being similar to Victini, just a huge wall breaker, setting up the Grassy Surge, giving itself a boost to its grass type moves. With a Choice Band or with a Grassy MZ, this thing is an absolute beast, and it just wrecks things that anything that doesn't resist grass types, and even some grass resist, just get absolutely wrecked by Tapu Bulu because it just hits so hard. So we'll see what the New York Marauders and Mr. Talon are going to be doing to kind of wrap up when he gets the wheel pick going into round 2. But here's our summary for round 1. What do you think, Chase?
So before I talk about the summary, I feel like there may or may not be some new people that aren't familiar with it. We've touched base on a few of the rules as far as the draft goes, and a lot of the coaches are familiar with it. But just for those who are new, when a Mega Pokemon is drafted, Not only is that Pokemon, you get access to both that Mega Pokemon and the base form of that Pokemon. So with MV and John both grabbing Mega Latios and Mega Latias, that removes Latios and Latias from the draft pool. With Kyle A grabbing Mega Charizard X, nobody can draft Mega Charizard Y, and base Charizard is off the board. Same thing with Christian's Atlanta Umbreon's pick with the Mega Gardevoir. Regular Gardevoir is no longer in play. And Patter's with the Mega Venusaur. Regular Venusaur is no longer in play. So that being said, I think both Lotties going round one. That's to no surprise to anybody. I don't really see a weak pick out of this draft. I think everybody grabbed something that is going to be good right out the gate. I mean, I've seen some drafts where a first round pick, kind of questionable, but this is definitely a very solid first round. How about you?
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think this is a really, really solid first round. I think everyone grabbed a Pokemon that they could work around. And one thing I wanted to touch upon is we do have a draft tier restriction. So, like, every team is required to grab a Mega. Every team is required to grab one Tier 1, a Tier 2, a couple Tier 3s, Tier 4, Tier 5 to spread out the pool. And then you have a couple free picks that allow you, you have a certain amount of points that you can allocate towards different picks. So it's not like you just can grab whatever. You have points that you have to work with. So by grabbing like a Mega Latios, you're reducing your points later in the draft. So that's something to keep in mind too. So there's a lot of strategy that goes in these drafts. We try not to go too deep into it. Just know that all the coaches follow the rules, so you don't have to worry about that. But very, very solid round one here. I think all these Pokemon have a lot of value. I think there's so many good things still on the board, though. So it's going to be interesting to see kind of how round two shakes out. But I think we're ready to rock and jump right into round two. What do you think?
I think I am ready.
All right, so Mr. Talent and the New York Marauders jumping in and grabbing that Tapu Bulu Heatran core, which is what my team was based around last season. Tapu Bulu, of course, sets the grassy terrain, which protects Heatran from moves like Earthquake. They also pair really, really well together just because Tapu Bulu's primary weakness to ice and fire, as well as poison, are really complemented very nicely by Heatran's resistances and immunities in Flash Fire, and also with like Superpower, Tapu Bulu resists that. So just a really, really good combination, like synergistically from a type-wise. One thing that I found using them is that they do obviously sit in a very similar speed tier, which can be kind of difficult to work with. And I was always so scared of the weakness with Heatran, the 4x weakness to ground. But the Newcastle Nidoking is going to grab Salamence to pair with Mega Venusaur. What do you think about this as a kind of a duo with Mega Venusaur, Chase?
So I really like it. I think it's an awesome pick. I think Salamence is one of those mons that if it's not grabbed in the first couple rounds, you got to really reconsider the talent that you have as far as your coaching goes. Salamence is so cool. It can set up obviously physically with moves like Dragon Dance. It can also be run mixed with access to moves like Defog, Draco Meteor, Fire Blast, Hydro Pump. It can provide Wish support. It has two great abilities in Intimidate and Moxie. I think it is I think it's a good pairing. It's a great flying type mon to pair against the Mega Venusaur, so that way he doesn't have to worry about that. We've got Deathly and the Seattle Drizzlers grabbing Mega Scissor as their round 2 pick. I really like this Pokemon. I always think Mega Scissor is probably one of the best Megas in draft format because of its natural bulk. It does have that glaring 4x weakness to fire. However, it's got incredible priority in Bullet Punch, Technician boosting that. It has access to Defog, which provides hazard support for mons like Victini and potentially other mons on his team. It can run Knockoff, it can run Brutal Swing, it can run Bug Bite. It has great U-turn pivot as well. I think it is a cool pick for Tyler. We've got Numb Nexus and the Pittsburgh Pichu's grabbing Hydreigon out of Tier 2. Talk to me a little bit about Hydreigon, Dan.
I think this is a really good value pick in Tier 2. Hydreigon, I think, controversially could be Tier 1, but it does have access to Defog now, so it can remove hazards, but it's just such a big threat. It hits really, really hard with its Dragon and Dark-type stab. It does have pivoting option with U-turn, which is something a lot of the other Dragons don't have, and it's only 4x weakness is Fairy, so you don't have to worry about, HP Fairy, because that doesn't exist. So Hydreigon Celesteela forms a really, really good starting point. It's going to be interesting to see what he grabs for his Fairy, but just a really good starting point there. And you see the Umbreon's grabbing something similar, grabbing Garchomp to go with Mega Gardevoir. Garchomp obviously known because it's big 102 base speed, outspeeding a lot of the metagame there, kind of outspeeding the Gardevoir as well. It's great as a Choice Scarf user. It has a lot of versatility in terms of defensive sets as well, with that Rough Skin, Rocky Helmet option, setting up Stealth Rocks, but it could also set up, Sword Stances, and if he pairs it with a Rocky MZ, he could also boost its speed with Rocky MZ Sandstorm and pair that with Sandville. So there's some really cool strategies that you can kind of employ with Garchomp, but he's starting his Dragon Fairy Steel Core there as well. My next pick is going to be Alolan Ninetales. Alolan Ninetales is a Pokemon that I've used a number of times down the format, and I just love it, dude. I think, a little early maybe in Tier 2, or in Round 2, but I think this Pokemon is so good. Its ability to set up Aurora Veil have it for 8 turns is just too valuable to pass up. It's such a unique Pokemon that, and not really any other Pokemon in the format can really replicate what this does. I've also seen it used, like I've used it myself, Scarfed. I've used it Specs. I've used it Life Orb. I've done so many different things with this Pokemon, and I love this Pokemon. So I had to grab it again. And I think that pairing Aurora Veil with Landorus is going to be really fun because of Rock Polish and Swords Dance. Talk to me about Data Dave grabbing Manaphy here in round 2.
Okay, so I always love it when a coach can pull off multiple base 100 drafts, and I think Data Dave grabbing not only Jirachi, but now Manaphy as well, starts to give him a lot of flexibility with what he wants to do. You know, Jirachi, depending on what's draft with it, can obviously be, you know, a bit more defensive. It can also be forced into offensive. Same thing with Manaphy now, though, too. Manaphy and Jirachi do have some type synergies right there, which is absolutely incredible. Manaphy being able to set up a Tail Glow, paired with something like a Waterium Z, can go with the Hydro Vortex and go with the Z Rain Dance. He can also run just a regular Tail Glow. He doesn't even need the Z Crystal to support it. It's a great special wall breaker. Next up, we've got Galactic Elliot in the Chicago Cub Shoes grabbing Blacephalon out of Tier 1. This is a fantastic pick. I'm starting to love Blacephalon more and more each day. It's got a great base speed with 107, outspeeding a lot of the meta that we do have here allowed in Draft League. With Ghost and Fire Stab, it does have great physical attack, great special attack. It does have its signature move, Mind Blown, which is a very hard-hitting fire-type move. Has access to moves like Trick. It can set up with Calm Mind, Shadow Ball, Fire Blast, Flamethrower, Knockoff. It is a super Pokemon, of course, abusing that Beast Boost ability. Kyle A and the Miami Don fans grabbing a Azumarill from Tier 1. What do you think about this pick?
Azumarill is really cool. So he's starting to try to form a Fairy Dragon Steel Fire Water Grass with 2 picks already. So he's got his Water and his Fairy, and he's got his Dragon and his Fire already. So now he needs a Grass and a Steel type Ferrothorn. Would fit really, really nicely here. But Azumarill, obviously known for its ability to run Choice Banded Aqua Jet, that huge power ability, just boosts its stack to like insane levels. It also can run Belly Drum set, so if you're not prepared and it's able to get out that Belly Drum, it oftentimes can just win the game with Aqua Jet. So just very, very good. The New York Yankees grabbing Thundurus Therian form. Of course, Thundurus Therian form, known for that Volt Absorb ability. Of course, it hits incredibly hard. Insane special attack stat, I believe, at 145. But it also has the ability to set up with Nasty Plot and Agility. So it's kind of like that double dance set that Landorus can run. And it's just so powerful, dude. Like, this thing breaks through teams like an absolute beast, and I think it'll be really nice to pair it with that Tapu Fini, of course. Tapu Fini, obviously, trying to get around those, you know, water type, those bulky waters. Thundurus can do that without a problem. But the Milwaukee Bear, Beware is grabbing Mega T-Tar. Mega T-Tar ranked as a Tier 2 Mega, so it actually kind of helps out with his point total. What do you think about him grabbing Mega T-Tar and thus removing Tyranitar from the board, Chase?
I actually really like it because Mew does not like dark types. Mew does not like very bulky dark types. So grabbing Mega Tyranitar to boost his own sand, being able to take one of the #1 pursuit trappers off the board to help support his Mew, I think is really cool. Obviously having incredible bulk, being able to be running a mixed set, being able to run a bit more defensive, does take Rock's pressure off of Mew, being able to set sand for other picks as well, perhaps something like an Excadrill, perhaps something like a Stoutland or something like that can be very, very cool. Next up here, we've got Game Boy Luke and the Bristol City Blazekins grabbing Necrozma. You're pretty well versed with Necrozma. Talk to me about it.
Yeah, Necrozma's a lot better now than when I used it because of access to move tutors. So now it gets things like Earth Power. And it also has, obviously, Photon Geyser, I believe, is the move, which is a really, really powerful Psychic-type move. Its Prism Armor ability allows it to take super effective hits and have them do less damage, which gives it an opportunity to set up various things like Iron Defenses, Calm Minds, and Autotomizes to boost all its stats and hit really, really hard. Don't be surprised if Game Boy Luke runs some sort of a weakness policy set this season, because it can really take advantage of that. But you're gonna get Mega Deontay, bro, in round 2.
Nobody should have let me draft this. Mega Deontay being a round 2 pick is absolutely, draft's over for me. I'm done. I'm only drafting 2 Pokemon. Mega Deontay is so cool. Incredible base 110 speed, hits so hard with that base 160 special attack. Stab Moonblast, Stab, it now has access to Power Gem. It can run Earth Power. It can, I mean, it's just so good. It's so good. Oh my gosh. The fact that it was still lying around right now, I had to grab it just because it was there, honestly. But it hits so very, very hard. Magic Bounce ability is cool. We got Duncan Me Deep in the Free State Torracats grabbing Mega Metacham, an incredible Mega Pokemon with the Pure Power ability, being able to double its attack stat with priority moves and Fake Out and Bullet Punch. Obviously being able to hit very hard with the dual stab of Zen Headbutt, Psycho Cuts, or Drain Punch and High Jump Kick. Elemental punches and things like that is very, very cool. I think it pairs very well with Tapu Koko as far as he is a special wall breaker and now a physical wall breaker. I think it's great just to be able to pair that. It's got that nice base 100 speed stat pairing nicely. So he's starting to diversify a little bit of his speed tiers with 130 in Coco and then 100 with Mega Medicham. We have John and the New Orleans Pelipers grabbing Mamoswine from tier 2. I think this is what I like to call a John Mon. This is one of those Pokemon that John was just going to grab if it was available. Talk to me a little bit about the Mamoswine pick.
Yeah, Mamoswine is just, it's so hard to switch into its dual stab. Ground and ice together, there's very few Pokemon that can switch in effectively. I guess Poliwrath, I'm looking at you. Araquanid was one of them. I mean, there's like very few Pokemon in the format that can switch into its dual stab just because it hits so hard. It's got incredible attack stat. It could be very, very versatile as well. So not surprised to see Pokemon grab Mamoswine. Envy is going to grab Clefable here to wrap up round 2 to pair with his Mega Latias. What do you think about this Clefable pick?
Ew.
It was right.
It provides good support that Mega Latias can also take advantage of with Wish. It has speed control with moves like Thunder Wave. It can set up with Calm Minds. It can set up with Cosmic Powers. It can be a reliable rocker for his team as well. It does provide some niche coverage moves with things like Knockoff, Fire Blast, Flamethrower, Ice Beam. Obviously, it's Stab and Moonblast. But as we wrap up round 2 here, what picks stand out to you?
So I think, like, the first thing is, I mean, obviously I'm biased here. I think Alolan Ninetales in round 2 is a little bit early for it, but like I said, I had my reasons for it. I think it's just such a unique Pokemon. I think grabbing Mega Scizor for the Drizzler is really solid. That thing's such a beast. I think the Beware's grabbing Mega Tyranitar this early is pretty interesting. Not wanting T-Tar to be taken, grabbing a tier 2 Mega. But honestly, I think right now the standout to me is the Mega Deontay and Black Core. I think that just offensively, those two Pokemon are just such beasts, and they have so much natural bulk to them too. So there's a lot of versatility there as well. So a lot of good combinations though. I mean, you see Celesteela, Hydreigon paired together, Tapu Bulu Heatran, Mega Gardevoir, Garchomp, just a lot of really good combinations.
Oh yeah, 100%. I think we're starting to see a little bit more cores fleshed out. I really like Mr. Talent's pairing of Bulu and Heatran. Obviously, I think Mega Gardevoir and Garchomp goes well together. And a lot of people might question the Alolan Ninetales pick, but I've seen Stranger Things drafted round 1 and 2. It's a very comfortable pick. It provides good speed. It provides a good speed tier with base 109. Great stab both in 100% accurate Blizzards and Moonblast and Freeze Dries for water Pokemon. I think it's a fine pick. I think again round 2, there's nothing really super questionable about these picks. We got a lot of people who know what they're doing. And we're going to see that as the draft slowly takes place.
Yeah, I think the only one that really stands out aside from my Ninetales pick is maybe the Thundurus. And the only reason why I say that is because I think Thundurus oftentimes, from my experience, tends to be drafted later in the draft. So a lot of times it'll sit there. And you do have the option to get the other Thundurus if one gets taken. So a little surprised. That would be probably my only thing. But I'm sure Shady has a plan up his sleeve. So let's jump right into round 3. We've got Lord MV and the Chim Chargers. And they're going to pick up Cobalion, jumping down to tier 3. Grabbing Cobalion being a steel and fighting type Pokemon. Cobalion offers a lot of utility in the fact that it can Volt Switch around, so it gives pivoting options. It can also set up Stealth Rocks, which is really cool. The thing about Cobalion, though, is it really shines in League format when it's paired with Z-Crystals. So we're going to see if MV, what Z-Crystal he grabs, whether it's Celium Z, Fighting Z, what he's going to grab, because Cobalion's going to be limited to just one type of Z-Crystal in this format.
I think it's an awesome Pokemon, being able to like double dance, being able to run special as well with Calm Mind. It has access to Magnet Rise to remove that ground immunity, or to remove that ground weakness that it does have. I think it's a very offensive steel type, pairing well with Clefable and the Mega Latias. Next up here, we've got Pokemon and the New Orleans Pelipers grabbing Sylveon, a fantastic fairy type Pokemon. As I said, we're going to start to see a lot of these cores being fleshed out now. Sylveon's a fantastic wall breaker, matching Mega Gardevoir with that Pixelate ability. It did get that nerf, but it still does hit incredibly hard. Base 60 speed gives it a little bit slower, but he's fleshing out his speed tiers. He's got 60, 80, and then 110 right now. Being able to provide clerical support for Pokemon like Mamoswine that don't appreciate being burned. Being able to provide clerical support for Mega Latias, which doesn't appreciate being toxic as well, is really cool. Baton passing is also a fantastic choice. Next up, Duncan knee deep in the Free State Torcats, grabbing Gliscor from tier 2. How do you feel about this pairing off with the rest of his team?
Yeah, it's an interesting pick. I didn't have a lot of luck using Gliscor when I had it, but it's very good. It's got so much bulk, and it can live those HP Ices pretty well because it's natural bulk. I really like the fact that it's got that Poison Heal ability, which gives it so much recovery. That paired with like Protect and things like that, it's got a lot of utility options. It can set up with Sword Stance. It can do a lot of different things, and it provides pivoting options for the team as well. And that's the one thing against Duncan you can't allow him to do. You can't give him free switch into Mega Medicham or Tapu Koko, and with U-Turn, he's going to be able to do that. So I see you grabbing Tangrowth here here in round 3, tier 2. Talk to me about Tangrowth, Chase.
Yeah, so Tangrowth's a really cool Pokemon, very bulky grass type. Neither of my other picks appreciate a steel type move being tossed their way, so Tangrowth kind of helps with that. Tangrowth starts off a fire, water, grass core for me. Very diverse as far as its coverage goes. It can be run physical, it can be run special. It has access to moves like Sleep Powder, Leech Seed, and Knockoff. Your hidden powers, the Regenerator ability is also absolutely fantastic. Being able to sponge hits and then being able to double out, maybe even like an eject button Tangrowth or something like that. Very, very useful. Helps provide some defensive backbone for my team. We've got Game Boy Luke and the Bristol City Blazekins grabbing Nihilego out of tier 2. His team's just starting to look scary, and I don't like it. I really think that Nihilego is an awesome Pokemon with Rock and Poison Stab, being able to set up rocks, being able to set up Toxic Spikes, being able to obviously have access to that Beast Boost ability, being able to boost its stats depending on how he's built. I think it's a fantastic pick that pairs off nicely with his team.
Yeah, and one of the things, too, it's got a lot of special bulk, too. Good HP stat, good special defense stat. The Beware is grabbing a familiar friend here, one of the Pokemon that helped them get their championship last season, Tornadus T. Tornadus Therian form does pair with that Regenerator, allowing it to heal itself up when it switches out. It also fires off those Hurricanes. But I will say, it's a little bit interesting to see that he's pairing Hurricane Spam with Mega Tyranitar. I know Hurricane is nerfed in Sun. I think in Sand it's also nerfed. So a little interesting to see there, just because Tornadus T really does rely on its Hurricane Spam. But it does have a lot of other options. It's got Superpower and Knockoff and U-Turn. It can also run things like Acrobatics. And looks like the Mankeys are going to grab Ferrothorn, actually. Ferrothorn being a very bulky steel and grass type Pokemon. Obviously has a ton of entry hazards with Stealth Rocks and Spikes. Gets to set Leech Seed, all sorts of good stuff there. Paired nicely with Tapu Fini, of course, being able to absorb those fire type moves and those fighting type moves that Ferrothorn so desperately needs to avoid. But it's just such a bulky Pokemon, and of course those Iron Barbs can really wear down your opponent, especially if they're trying to U-turn around and use some, physical attackers and stuff. So pretty cool start there for the Mankeys. The Don fans are going to grab Celebi, the Psychic Grass Onion Fairy, to pair and give him a Fire, Water, Grass core. Still looking for that Steel type, but what do you think about the Celebi pick?
This is a really nice Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire draft team right now. But, being said that, though, Celebi's really cool. Being able to set up with Nasty Plot, being able to set up with Swords Dance, being able to Baton Pass, U-Turn Momentum is cool. Being able to set up Rocks is also a very cool thing as well. Different Z crystals can give us some different coverage moves. I think it's got really good clerical support as well. Good Healing Wish support for Pokemon like Azumarill that might belly drum maybe prematurely and then need to be healed up with Healing Wish. Same thing with Charizard X, obviously sporting that 4x weakness before Mega Evolution. Next up here, we have Galactic Elliot and the Chicago Cub Shoes grabbing Klefki out of tier 2. Now, I really was debating Klefki, honestly. It's a great Pokemon, Steel and Fairy type, only giving it 2 weakness, Ground and Fire. And obviously with its Prankster ability, being able to remove that ground weakness with the move Magnet Rise. It can set up spikes, it can set up screens, it has moves like Play Rough, Flash Cannon, Iron Head, all that good stuff. I think it's a really cool Pokemon. It provides Prankster, Thunder Wave support, being able to slow down maybe some faster monster Pokemon like Blacephalon and Megalopa, supporting those just a little bit more. Next up here, we're going day to day with the Kansas City Croc Rocks grabbing Togekiss from tier 2. Talk to me a little bit about Togekiss, Dan.
Yeah, Togekiss and Jirachi, the flinch gods, of course, with their Serene Grace abilities, giving them 60% chance to flinch. It's more likely to flinch than not, which is just ridiculous with that Air Slash, of course. Paired with Thunder Wave is really nice. It can Nasty Plot, making it really difficult to take down. And that's one of the things about it. You can run like Roost, Heal Bell, Nasty Plot, Air Slash, and like that alone is just really difficult to deal with. It has Roost, obviously, and again, Defog to remove hazard. So pretty crazy stuff there. I'm gonna dip into tier 3 and grab another familiar friend here, the little hedgehog, Shaman. I like Shaman a lot. It's a really bulky grass type Pokemon with a great ability in Natural Cure, allowing it to absorb status, switch out, and heal that off. Paired nicely with Rest and things like you could use Synthesis. Leech Seed is really cool as well. But one of the reasons why I grabbed Shaman is because it does something all the other grass types can't do, which is Healing Wish. And I felt like Healing Wish was going to fit with kind of my draft strategy moving forward. Having the ability to heal up Pokemon and then use that Auroraville to set up is really worth it to me. But Seed Flare, really powerful grass type stab that has a 50% chance to lower special defense, very spammable, and just a really good Pokemon in general. So we're gonna see the Umbreons grab Zapdos here in round 3. What do you think about that, Chase?
Really awesome Pokemon. I think it did receive a little bit of a buff now because with Static Zapdos being released and now having access to move tutors, you can run Static Defog. which is prior to that, if your Zapdos was running pressure, you knew it had defog. If you do not see pressure, you knew it did not have defog, so you kind of take advantage of that. So a little bit of some mind games there, but great physical check, I think. I think it's an awesome Pokemon to use. It's got that base 100 speed tier. Being able to defog, being able to heat wave, being able to volt switch or U-turn around is really cool. Allows him to potentially bring in some wall breakers such as his Garchomp and his Mega Gardevoir. Reliable recovery and Roost as well. Next up here, we've got Numb Nexus and the Pittsburgh Peach, who's grabbing Nidoqueen out of tier 3. I don't like Nexus's team, Dan. I do not. It's a bulky Pokemon. It can also be a powerhouse. Very similar to the other 2 mons that he has drafted so far. Having access to that sheer force ability, boosting its own moves in return for losing the secondary effect, being able to have access to rocks, T-spikes, being able to phase things out with Roar or Dragon Tail. I mean, it is a absolute monster. I'm a really big fan of this Pokemon. I think in tier 3, it is one of my favorite picks so far of this round. Next up here, we have Tyler and the Seattle Drizzlers grabbing Primarina out of tier 3. Now, this is somewhat of a glue for his Fire, Water, Grass core and his Fairy Steel Dragon core. Hits so very, very hard. Now with access to Liquid Voice, it can now do its Liquid Voice Hyper Voice, being able to pass through subs. Very similar to its signature move, Sparkling Aria as well. But it hits so hard with Moonblast, with Hydro Pumps. It can run some incredible coverage. Moves like Psychic, moves like Energy Ball, moves like Ice Beam. It is, I think it's a great Pokemon to pick up. Next up here, we see another bulky water going. We see Patters, the Newcastle Nidokings, grabbing Slowbro. Talk to me about Slowbro, Dan.
Yeah, so I think I mentioned this earlier. I'm pretty sure that Patters has had Slowbro and Mega Venusaur together in the past, but Slowbro has that Regenerator ability, allowing him to heal up his stats when he switches out. Very, very good bulky pivot. A little slow, but it can run Trick Room and things like that. Has a lot of coverage options. Flamethrower, Fire Blast. I think it even gets T-Bolt, Ice Beam, Psychic, Grass Knot. Maybe not T-Bolt. I think it does have T-Bolt. It's very, very bulky and has a lot of versatility, so obviously being able to switch in and out and gain, health back is super valuable there. And then we got Mr. Talent and the New York Marauders grabbing Milotic here in tier 3, or in tier 2 in round 3. A nice water type to pair with his grass and fire type Heatran, of course. So Milotic obviously super fat, dude. Just, one of the things I love about it is the fact that burn is not as effective as it used to be, so it's only doing 6% per turn. So the Marvel, or the Marvel Scale Flame Orb Milotic set is so good because it gets basically a plus, 1.5 boost to its defense stat, and making it an incredible physical wall. And obviously you get to rock with Recover to heal itself up. So, Milotic just super duper bulky, and we see a couple bulky waters go there at the end of round 3, Chase. What do you think?
I think round 3, we're starting to see a lot more cores finish up. We're starting to see, if you look at the typings, there's not too many ones that stand out. You see a lot of Steel, you see a lot of Fairy, you see a lot of Grass, you see your niche picks with mons like Nihilego, with mons like Zapdos, mons like Nidoqueen as well, but you start to see people focusing on finalizing those cores. If I had to talk about maybe my favorite pick overall this round, I do have to say next is Nidoqueen in round 3. It's a very awesome pick. Potentially also Patter's Mega Venusaur and the Slowbro core is just, I don't want to fight that. I don't want to, but Gliscor is an interesting pick in round 3, but it does provide more pivot potential. It does provide hazard support. It does, a lot of things that Duncan's team doesn't quite necessarily have right now.
Yeah, for sure. So I love the Tornadus pick for the Bewares. Again, going to be interesting to see how he used it. Obviously, he was on his championship team, and he loves to call it Tornadus, so we'll see how that works out. I grabbed Shaman, as I mentioned. One thing I didn't say was it is a tier 3 pick, so I felt like Shaman was super valuable in tier 3. So I really like that. Ferrothorn for Shady, gotta love that with Feeny. I think that's a really good combination. Those two Pokemon are gonna be so hard to break down. Like, you're gonna need a serious wall breaker to get through those. And then I want to say, like, the New Orleans Pelipper is grabbing Sylveon, which is ranked in tier 2. Very valuable, man. Sylveon's such a good Pokemon, and I think in some leagues you see it as tier 1. So the fact that it can be such a good team supporter with like Wish and Baton Pass, but also can be so offensive with like Pixelate Hyper Voices, very hard to switch in when they're choice specs. So really gotta like that from Sylveon there. So I think it's time to jump into round 4. The New York Marauders just picked up Milotic, and they are gonna grab Nidoking here in round 4. Nidoking known for being a little faster than Queen and hitting a little harder on the physical side, but it doesn't quite have the bulk, but still has all the same utility, and with sheer force, it just is so good, dude. And there's a huge debate which one's better, Nidoking or Nidoqueen. I think it's Queen, but nevertheless, Nidoking is just so good, dude. It's very hard to switch into. And big shout out to Pie Master, man, who continues to drop insane bits, man. He's hyped for round 4. Thank you, Justin. So Nidoking just holding it down here for the Marauders, and gotta love the fact that one of its big weaknesses being ground types is mitigated by Tapu Bulu's grassy terrain from earthquakes and stuff like that. The Newcastle Nidokings grabbing the good doggo here with Arcanine. Arcanine makes a really nice pairing with Mega Venusaur and Slowbro with a nice Fire, Water, Grass core there. Arcanine, of course, has Flash Fire and Intimidate. Dual Intimidate core with the Salamence there, which you gotta love. But this thing can heal itself up with Morning Sun, and that's a theme that you're starting to see on the Nidoking's team there. All 4 of his Pokemon can heal themselves up with you know, Slack Off or Recover, you know, Roost and Morning Sun, and then of course Mega Venusaur rocking Synthesis. So just a lot of potential there for a very bulky team and a very tough team to take down. The Seattle Drizzler is definitely pretty new to Draft League format, but he's got his feet wet, pun intended, and he's gonna grab Cofagrigus here in tier 3. Obviously known for its ability to set those toxic spikes, be a tremendous physical wall, and it can actually be pretty scary with nasty plots and Trick Room. If it sets up that Trick Room and starts to set up offensively, there's very few things that can switch into its Shadow Ball. So very, very good Pokemon here. Gotta love Cofagrigus. What do you think about that, Chase?
I think it's a great pick. I think it provides a lot more bulk for his team. I think the Mummy ability can be used very nicely. I think that's one of the things he's gonna be very, very comfortable with using. Just a bulky Pokemon that can toss off Will-O-Wisps, toss off, you know, Shadow Balls and Toxics, being able to set up spikes as well. That's a big Snorlax.
That's a big Snorlax, dude.
We've got Numb Nexus grabbing the biggest of boys, Snorlax out of tier 3. I always petition for Snorlax to be in tier 2. I think it's such a good Pokemon. I think with the new Super Berries in 7th Gen, Ultra Sun and Moon, I think it's a great Pokemon to be able to set up with curses. I think it is a great Pokemon to absorb statuses and abuse facade. I think it just, it's so hard to take down. It's so hard to take down.
Yeah, very, 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 very bulky. And I think right after it was drafted, I was like, I think we messed up, guys. Snorlax should have been tier 2. But Nexus takes advantage of that. We got Toxapex here in tier 2. One of the fattest mons in the OU tier. In Draft League format, it's a little tricky to use because your opponent kind of knows it's coming, but it obviously has the ability to set up those Toxic Spikes. It's got Regenerator, which heals itself up. And we're gonna be run to the timer on this one, man. I think we could have some pretty long matches facing the Umbreons this season. But Toxapex is a great mon. I really would like to give it another shot myself. I had a bad experience with it a couple seasons ago, but I do think it's got some value. But I'm grabbing Reuniclus, baby, and I was so happy, man. I've wanted this Pokemon forever, dude. I've wanted it forever. I love Reuniclus, man. It's got Regenerator. It's got Magic Guard, a tremendous ability. You compare that with Life Orb. Very, very awesome. Trick Room is so, so good. You compare it with Trick Room, obviously, getting to basically outspeed everything. It can set up Calm Minds. It can set up Iron Defenses. It has knockoff utility. It's got so much utility and just such a good Pokemon in general. So I'm so pumped to use Reuniclus. I had to grab this thing. I kind of have a mix of some old favorites and some new friends, and Reuniclus is definitely on that list, man. I'm so glad I got this thing because it's just such a cool Pokemon. The Crocorock's grabbing Jolteon here in tier 3. Very interesting to see Jolteon go in round 4, but I think it's a great pick, dude. Such a fast Pokemon. There's very few Pokemon that eclipse that 115 base speed tier, and Jolteon hits 130, so it's easily going to be one of the top 5 fastest in the format pretty much. It's got a great special attack stat with Shadow Ball and Thunderbolt and Signal Beam and Volt Switch. And it can also Baton Pass out if you're worried about ground types stopping your Volt Switch. So you got to love that utility there. But Volt Absorb, very cool as well to kind of pair with Manaphy and Togekiss. So I think that this thing, it can spread around Paralysis with Discharge, which helps his Flinch core. A lot of options there. Galactic Elliot wants to grab an Electric type there, grabbing Galvantula to set up Sticky Webs. That is so scary with Blacephalon and Lopunny. Chase, what are you going to do when they come for you?
I'm forfeiting. Galvantula is a really cool Pokemon coming out of tier 3. Very fast electric type Pokemon. While it can set up webs to provide speed control for mons like Blacephalon and Mega Lopunny, it can also just provide as a little bit more of an offensive attacker with its Compound Eyes ability, being able to hit those thunders a little bit better than most electric types. Bug Buzz is also a really cool stab to have. Energy Ball, it can run Tech Hidden Powers as well. A fast Volt Switcher is also very good, being able to potentially pivot around into mons like Blacephalon and Mega Lopunny. It's a pretty cool Pokemon.
Easy.
Pretty cool Pokemon. That was easy. We got Kyle A, the only coach that matters, grabbing the mascot pick, Donphan, #rollout. Donphan's a cool Pokemon. Great hazard support for mons like Mega Charizard, being able to obviously not only set rocks, but able to rapid spin them away. Gets priority in Ice Shard. It does have the sturdy ability, preventing it from being one-shot outside of a Mold Breaker type Pokemon. Cool coverage moves as well with moves like Seed Bomb, Knockoff, Play Rough, Gunk Shot, priority in the Ice Shard, hitting really hard with, I believe it's like almost a base 120 or 130 attack, Maybe it's 100 attack. I don't know. But those earthquakes are just very, very hard. We've got Shady Penguin of the New York Yankees grabbing Mega Pinsir in round 4. Now, this is starting to be pretty scary because we start to see a little bit of a defensive core, Tapu Fini and Ferrothorn coming around, but we also start to see an incredibly fast wall-breaking potential core with mons like Thundurus Therian and mons like Mega Pinsir as well. Mega Pinsir did receive a little bit of a nerf in Ultra Sun and Moon and Gen 7 in general, with the aerial ability being reduced to 20%. However, that does not stop priority quick attacks from happening. We are not required to Mega Evolve first turn, so we can also Swords Dance in that regular Pinsir state, taking advantage of the Hyper Cutter ability to prevent opposing Intimidates. We've got Wolf Glick and the Milwaukee Bewears grabbing Araquanid out of tier 3. You love Araquanid. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I love this thing, man. It sets up Sticky Web, which is super duper good, and most sets can fit Sticky Web on there because it doesn't have a ton of options, but with that Water Bubble ability, man, there's very few things that can switch into its Liquidations or its Scalds because it's boosting its Water-type moves so much, so Choice Band Liquidations are just so hard to switch into. It is obviously very slow, so it kind of has that, but the fact that you can set up those webs for things like T-Tar can be really, really useful. We're going to see the Blazekins grabbing regular Greninja with Torrent, not with Protein. Greninja with Torrent in round 4. Still a very good Pokemon, though. I actually think that Greninja is still an insanely good Pokemon without Protein. Obviously, still gets all those coverage moves and hazards like Toxic Spikes and Spikes, but its speed tier, again, being able to be at that 122 base speed, I believe. It's so fast. It's got a lot of potential with U-turn, and again, it's got great coverage with Dark Pulse and Hydro Pump, Scald. You can run things like Gunk Shot. There's just a lot of things you can do with Greninja, so it's so solid in terms of its offensive presence and just the ability to kind of give your team some switch arounds. But Chase, you're gonna grab Vaporeon. You're gonna grab one of the evolutions here in round 4.
Yeah, so Vaporeon is really, really cool. Love having a bulky water. Love having wish support for mons like Mega Diancie. Love having wish support for mons like Kyurem Black. It's got that just absolute stupid HP stat of 130, so being able to pass into something like Mega Diancie, which only has like a base 50 HP stat, I mean, one wish from Vaporeon is going to bring that boy right up to full. Being able to baton pass around is really cool. Being able to wish, like I said, Heal Bell support is awesome as well. We're starting to have a little bit more of a defensive core between Tangrowth and Vaporeon. Being able to phase out Pokemon with Roar as well just helps out the team a lot. And we see a lot of bulky waters go this round. We've got Duncan Knee Deep in the Free State Torcats grabbing Politoed out of tier 3. I think it's a very interesting pick, and I'm curious to see what he pairs with this. A very bulky water type Pokemon. Not only does it support the signature Drizzle ability, but it also does have the Water Absorb ability. So he doesn't necessarily need to set Rain. He can just abuse the fact that it does have Water Absorb, being able to use moves like Hypnosis, being able to toss off Scalds, being able to just kind of sponge hits that maybe the Gliscor doesn't appreciate as well. It can be very, very nice. You can also pair that Drizzle ability with the moves like Tapu Koko, being able to toss off Thunders and stuff like that. We have the New Orleans Pelipper's grabbing another signature Johnmon, Tentacruel out of tier 3. I love Tentacruel. Very fast Pokemon, very bulky Pokemon. Niche coverage moves, Toxic Spikes, being able to Rapid Spin away. Talk to me a little bit about the Tentacruel pick.
Yeah, you mentioned the spikes and being able to remove hazards. I think that's super crucial. And it does have that 100 base speed, which I think a lot of people forget about, the fact that it is really, really fast. And it gives them a poison type, which is really nice as well. It gives them something that can resist those poison moves and those steel type moves for Sylveon. And again, just kind of provide hazard support for the rest of the team. We're going to see the Chimchargers grab the bulkiest of Pokemon, Suicune, as his bulky water in tier 2. Suicune obviously known for that Crocoon set, being able to run like Rest and Sleep Talk and Calm Minds, but this thing is just so bulky, and it's just got such great natural speed, natural base stats rather, and I was trying to say that it does get things like Tailwind and stuff to kind of support the team, so some really cool options there for Suicune. Can you imagine that thing got defog? I'm actually surprised it doesn't.
Yeah, if Suicune got defog, that'd just be absolutely tremendous. But I feel bad for the poor soul that plays Envy week 1. Honestly, that team is just absolutely broken. But
yeah, I feel bad for the poor soul who plays them week 2.
I feel bad for the poor soul who plays in week 1. Week 1. But
or
yeah,
week
no.
2.
Or week 1.
Week
How
2.
many water types do you go? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 out of 16 coaches grabbed a water type, which is incredible. But we're starting to see a lot more Pokemon drop down into the lower tiers to pick up some more niche Pokemon, with Pokemon like Jolteon, Fagrigus, Araquanid, Politoed, Vaporeon, Donphan. I still think Snorlax is probably one of my favorite picks this round. I think something to note, though, there was some confusion in the chat. It is only Torrent Greninja. It is not Protean. It is not Battle Bond. He does not get any of those. That would have been way too broken for this. But I really like how this round draft. I really like the draft, how it went around. How do you feel about this?
Yeah, super cool stuff, man. I think it's gonna be interesting to see how Toxapex is used for the Umbreons. I think that Pokemon is like super duper valuable, but it has to be used like properly. I really like the Torracats grabbing Politoed. Having Thunder in rain is kind of cool. So I think that's gonna be strong because Tapu Koko hits really hard, but its special attack stat isn't that great. So any little boost you can give to it can make a huge difference on 2-hit KOs and stuff. And Snorlax, I think, was probably the best steal in round 4. Snorlax and Suicune, I think, in my opinion, just like Snorlax being super valuable in tier 3, and then Suicune, of course, just being so bulky. It's just such a hard Pokemon to take down. So let's jump right into round 5. Emby's got the 5th pick, or his 5th pick, and it is going to be Diggersby, though. Diggersby in tier 2, ground and normal type, with priority and quick attack. Obviously having the ability to set up with agility and swords dance. It's huge power ability, just really powers it up. Hits really hard with that ability, so it makes it very difficult to switch into. It's a huge physical wall breaker, and it does have the ability to switch around with U-turn and also set up spikes and stuff. So what do you think about the Diggersby pick, Chase?
I really wanted Diggersby. Not like to where I was like, gosh darn it, Diggersby, but really cool Pokemon. Obviously can be run with a Scarf. It can set up agility, swords dances, and all that. Really good offensive power with moves like Earthquake and Return, Elemental Punches, being able to set up rocks, being able to set up spikes as well. Really cool pick. Next up here, we see Pokemon in the New Orleans Pelipper grabbing Roserade from tier 3. I like Roserade. This does start to give him a little bit of a psychic weakness. I mean, obviously Megaladios does appreciate those, but double poison types are very interesting. Roserade being able to provide a more hazard support. He does now have 3 out of 4 entry hazards available on his team outside of Sticky Webs. He does have rocks on Mamo, T-Spikes and Spikes available through Tentacruel and Roserade, but the natural cure ability allowing it to be a nice sponge. The Technician ability being able to power up those base 60 and below moves are really cool as well. I think it's got some really good natural bulk as well. Next up, we've got Duncan Knee Deep in the Free State Torcats grabbing Bisharp. Really interesting pick here. I love Bisharp as a Pokemon. I think it's a really slept-on pick as well, simply because the variety of defoggers that are now available in Ultra Sun and Moon. These Defiant Pokemon are going to be able to take advantage of that. It can set up with Swords Dance. It has dual stab both in Steel and Dark type, being able to priority Sucker Punch, stab knockoffs, always hit so very hard. Iron Head. It can get a few other niche coverage moves as well. I think it pairs very nice offensively with Pokemon like the Mega Diancie. I'm gonna grab Registeel at a tier 4, and I believe this is the first tier 4 pick. But I really would like to see somebody break through Tangrowth, Vaporeon, and Registeel personally. Reliable rocker. It takes rocks pressures off of Mega Diancie. It can sponge a lot of moves that maybe my other mons don't want to take. It's a great bulky steel type that can appreciate wish support from Vaporeon. It has speed control with moves like Thunder Wave. It can obviously Seismic Toss. It can Tyler makes a good point in the chat. I got sick of losing to this thing. I lose always to a Registeel. I can't break through it, so I want to see somebody else do it. Game Boy Luke and the Bristol City Blazekins grabbing Rotom Heat out of tier 3. Talk to me about Rotom Heat, Dan.
I love this thing, man. It's so bulky. It's got such natural bulk. It can defog now, which is really cool. Remove hazards. Volt Switch is really nice. And all the Rotoms are pretty simple to use. They typically run very similar sets every week. Overheat obviously kind of stinks because you do get that special attack drop. But, because of how often this thing pivots out with Volt Switch, it's really good. It's got a great typing, though. Electric and Fire is a phenomenal typing that pairs together with Levitate, removing that ground weakness, which is really cool. So its only weaknesses are really rock and water. So pretty cool. And it can hit, the water types with electric moves. So the Beware is grabbing, what is this here? Fortress here in tier 3. Fortress is kind of cool because it can Volt Switch out. It does have Sturdy, so it can guarantee that it set up hazards. It can remove hazards with Rapid Spin, Spikes, Stealth Rock, and Toxic Spike. So he's got the gauntlet there when it comes to hazards with Sticky Web as well. A couple bug types there, but they don't share weaknesses, which is really cool that he's got those 2 bug types that don't share weaknesses. I think just like setting up hazards for things like Mew and Tornadus to potentially sweep or clean is really solid. So, obviously it has that big weakness to fire types, but that's his only weakness. So really solid there. The Mankey's gonna grab Dragalge here in tier 3, the Poison and Dragon type Pokemon with adaptability, which boosts its Stab type moves, its Sludge Waves, its Draco Meteors, and its Dragon Pulses to just absurd levels. Paired with Draco Plates or things like that, Choice Specs, it hits really hard, and does have the ability to set up Toxic Spikes as well, which can be really useful for his team. Gives him a dragon type, which he liked otherwise. And I think the big thing with this is it's a matter of like breaking through the opponent's defensive Pokemon and then allowing Pinsir to clean the game. And he could do that really well with Dragalge. So I think it's a super good pick. The Don fan's going to grab Heliolisk here. Heliolisk known for having 3 really cool weather-related abilities in Rain Dish, and in Sandveil, and in Dry Skin and Solar Power, I'm sorry. So it can function under 3 different types of weather. So it can have an immunity to water type moves. It can, be evasive in the sand, things like that. But it also has a really good speed tier. Hits really hard with its dual stab, being Hyper Voice and, Thunderbolt, Volt Switching. It gets Surf. So a couple different cool coverage options there. And just a really good Electric type Pokemon in tier 3. So a lot of the other Electric types kind of went already, like the Galvantulas and the Jolteon. So, nice to see that pick there. The Chicago Cub Shoe's grabbing Silvally all types, so he can run any type of Silvally that he wants. What do you think about this pick, Chase?
Huge fan of Silvally. Huge fan of Silvally. I love building with it, honestly. I mean, you get a Pokemon with base 95s that can run any type. Like, it's probably the best glue to any team. I think it's an incredible Pokemon with access to Defog, being able to momentum around with moves like Parting Shots, being able to match up defensively against any type. If you see all of a sudden that's you're lacking on, maybe you need some defensive ghosts and some offensive ghosts. All of a sudden, you're in a defensive Silvally ghost with Blacephalon. Fantastic pick. I can't say enough good things about that. Next up here, this is a big emo boy right here. Kansas City Crocrox Data Dave grabbing Mega Absol. Now, I believe this is a tier 2 Mega. Fantastic Pokemon. Hits so very hard from the physical side and can also be run a mix with the special side as well. Great speed stat. Has the magic bounce ability, being able to deter hazards, being able to deter status as well. Being able to deter moves like Roar, being able to deter moves like that Parting Shot that we just talked about. I think it's really cool. It's got priority in Sucker Punch. It gets moves like Play Rough, obviously knockoffs and things like that. Great Pursuit Trapper as well. I think it's a fantastic pick. I think a great offensive Dark type pairs very nicely with his Jirachi and with his Togekiss as well. You grabbed Goodra.
I did grab Goodra.
You're grabbing a lot of Pokemon. Talk to me about it.
Yeah, I love me some Goodra, man. So when NPA Season 1 or Season 2 ran around, a couple games in, I wasn't doing too well. I picked up Goodra as a free agent, and then I won every game after that and all the way through the championship. I won the championship with Goodra. I love this thing, man. It is the glue to a team, man. It is so bulky, such great stats. It has a lot of coverage options. I just love this thing, man. I feel like it's such a good Pokemon, and it could fit on almost any team. You throw it in the middle as a dragon type, and it's just so good. So I was really stoked to grab Goodra again, especially this late in the draft. The Umbreon's grabbing Decidueye. Decidueye being a Ghost and Grass type with obviously some cool pivot options with U-Turn. It does get Defog to remove hazards, can set up with Nasty Plot and Swords Dance. Can be a physical or special attacker, which is really cool there. I think it's a really good option to remove some hazards for the team, especially things like Zapdos that don't want to take them, and provide pivoting options. If you can get free switches in for Mega Gardevoir, you're going to have a good time. So I think Fate Attacks and the Umbreon's going to be able to do that. And honestly, this Decidueye's got a really cool design. So the Pittsburgh Pichus grabbing their Fairy type to pair with Celesteela Hydreigon. It is Florges. Florges now has access to Defog, which makes it even better than it was before, which is nuts. It's got Wish, so it can Wish Pass to its Wish and then Dry Pass, like not Baton Pass, but Wish Protect. It's very bulky, of course, and a pure Fairy type, very nice there. Pairs nicely with Snorlax, obviously being that nice fighting resist, and there's just so much bulk on the Pichu's team, man. This is a very scary, bulky team so far.
I just gagged. This entire team is just way too thick. I don't want to deal with it. It's so just give me a Pokemon that's like actually can get one shot by something. It's incredible. Definitely I am, and the Seattle Drizzlers grabbing the first Z Crystal in round 5 with Psychium Z. Now this is a very interesting Z Crystal to grab. Easy. Being able to pair that with Victini, being able to toss off some Shattered Psyches and Headbutts or Psychics. Same thing with Primarina. Also, I'm curious to see what else he grabs that could potentially pair with that. I really think it's I'm gonna say it's an interesting pick right now. How do you feel about Psychium Z, bud?
Yeah, it's weird. As of right now, it's hard to see kind of where he's headed with this Psychium Z, just because the only thing that really kind of jumps out is that Victini, but we'll see what he ends up picking next or over the next couple rounds here. Really wanted that Psychium Z, though. The Nidoking's grabbing Crocodile, which is one of my faves, man. This thing is a beast. Ground and Dark typing, 2 great abilities in Moxie and Intimidate. He's got 3 Intimidators on his team, man. Is someone going to run an Adrenaline Orb against this guy?
Adrenaline Orb or Defiant, honestly.
I know, right? Like, that's pretty impressive, the fact that he's got 3 Intimidators already. Great Stealth Rocker, so you can set up those hazards, and great knockoff spam. Like, Choice Scarf Crocodile is so good with just knocking off and just spamming Earthquakes. Really good Pokemon. So, great pickup here, especially in round 5. I think this thing could usually go round 3 or 4, in my opinion. Really good Pokemon. And the New York Marauders wrapping up round 5 here with Mienshao. Mienshao is a Really hard-hitting fighting type Pokemon with 105 base speed. Does have that regenerator and the reckless ability boosting its high jump kicks. So just such a huge threat. Very hard to switch into if you don't have a good fighting resist. What do you think about this Mienshao pick?
I like Mienshao. Provides some speed that his team didn't have otherwise. Great regenerator mon, great fast pivot, being able to pivot into his Booloop to set up that grassy terrain, being able to pivot into some other mons like E-Train that he's got, being able to pivot into something like that Milotic as well. And as we round out round 5 right here, we're starting to see some more interesting picks. Now we're starting to see, like a Reggie Steele from round 4. We saw our first Z Crystal go as well. We're still seeing some late round megas go, like Data Dave's Mega Absol as well. I really like this. I really like how this round ended up. I think that the Diggersby kicking it off is really cool. I think that the Goodra pick is a very nice glue for being able to continue that Fairy Steel Dragon Core. I really want to see in the next round or two how that Psychium Z starts to pan out, because he has to have a plan in mind.
Yeah, very, very cool stuff. One thing I do want to mention is Data Dave grabbing Mega Absol here in round 5. Mega Absol led the league last season in kills. I believe I had 22 kills with it in just 11 games. So the top Pokemon of the league last season goes in round 5 for the Data Dave. The Data Daves and the Crocorox. So very, very cool stuff there. Let's jump right into round 6. We'll see what Mr. Talent has in store for us in round 6, grabbing Sigilyph. Sigilyph in tier 4, another tier 4 going here. As you can see, everyone has the requirements for what they have to fill out. Sigilyph is really cool because it has the Magic Guard ability, allowing you to switch in on hazards without taking any damage or anything like that. It also can, use Psycho Shift to pass along those Flame Orb burns, so it can basically status opponents, which is really cool. And it's got the ability to set up Cosmic Powers, which can really, really boost its defenses. The fact that it can't be toxic is cool, and it can be like a really, really cool utility Pokemon. I've seen it used very effectively that way. The Nidoking's grabbing Lucario here in round 6. Lucario, of course, being known for its priority Bullet Punch and Vacuum Wave and Extreme Speed, can set up both physical and special attacks with Nasty Plot and Swords Dance. Steel type, fighting type, hits really hard. I can tell you, I've always not really liked Lucario that much, and I've been beaten by it before. It can be really, really good and very hard to switch into.
It's so hard to switch into. There's so many times where, like, you let that thing get up a Swords Dance, it's just game time at that point. I remember last season Luke being able to set up a Swords Dance on mid Lucario and sweeping me with it. It just hits so very, very hard. Here is what I was waiting for. Here is the Seattle Drizzlers grabbing Xurkitree out of tier 2. This pairs very nicely with the Psychium Z. Being able to toss off those Z Hypnosis, being able to set up with the Tail Glow. Great Electric type Pokemon. The special attack stat is absurd on this thing. Nothing too crazy as far as coverage moves go, but you don't really need too much from this thing, It can boost its own speed with Z Hypnosis. It can take advantage of potentially Rain that could be still yet to be drafted with, or has been drafted with the Politoed. Does provide pivot momentum as well with a Volt Switcher pairing with the U-turn potential the Mega Scizor has. We've got Numb Nexus and the Pittsburgh Pichu is grabbing Mega Gallade. Finally a Pokemon that you can knock out in one shot. But a Pokemon you don't want to build against. Hits so very, very hard. Being able to set with Swords Dance, being able to have priority and Shadow Sneak, does have some very niche Will-O-Wisp support as well. Being able to toss off some elemental punches, close combat, Zen headbutts as well. I think it is a very, very solid Mega Pokemon to have.
Those are some udders. The Umbreons continuing their bulk trend here, grabbing Miltank. Miltank is a very fast, bulky cow that can set up them stealth rocks. Also has paralysis support with Body Slam, can heal itself up with a Milk Drink. Very, very difficult to take down. And I think its only weakness is fighting type, so Toxapex kind of sponges those. Decidueye's got an immunity to him. Gardevoir has a resistance. Zapdos has a resistance. Good luck taking down that boy. We got Empoleon here for the Vikavolt. I'm grabbing Empoleon, dude. The defensive synergy Empoleon and Landorus together is just absurd. Landorus is weak to ice and water. Empoleon doesn't care. Empoleon's weak to fighting and ground and electric, and Landorus doesn't care. I got Defog. I got Stealth Rocks. I love me some Empoleon. Bring me those Intimidators, bro. Bring those Intimidators. I will run Adrenaline Orb, Swords Dance, Defiant, Empoleon against you. It's time.
All right. He feels very passionate about that Empoleon pick, but no, it's a great pick. We see Data Dave and the Kansas City Crocorox grabbing Serena out of tier 3. I love Serena. Its Queenly Majesty ability preventing priority from affecting it. It can set up screens. It does now get access to Power Whip. It's got the signature move Drop Kick, which does lower the target's attack by 1 stage. Being able to U-turn as well, being able to provide hazard support for Mons like Togekiss, being able to provide hazard support as well. So now he not only has Defog in Togekiss and Magic Bounce and Mega Absol, but now he has Rapid Spin in Serena. So he's got his 3 forms of removal pretty covered, which is very, very nice. I really like it. We've got Galactica in the Chicago Cup. She was grabbing Uxie as their first free pick overall. Very bulky Psychic type Pokemon. I love me some Uxie. I know you love you some Uxie. It's a great rock setter. It's a great pivoter. It can provide some very niche support as well. How do you think about this on this?
Yeah, I love the knockoff support. I love the fact that it can set up with Calm Mind. It's got great utility options, like got a lot of coverage options as well. It just serves a really good sponge to kind of switch in, take some hits, maybe status some things, kind of switch around, things like that. This is a great pick though in round 6. Bronzong. I think Bronzong is easily the best tier 4 in my opinion, being a steel and psychic type Pokemon that has 2 potential resistances or immunities and Levitate and Heat Proof. Great abilities there. Great stealth rocker. It's got, you know, Gyro Ball, which can hit pretty hard from the steel side. I honestly feel like Bronzong is like easily the best tier 4. It's so good and just so versatile. I had it once and you bring it every week, dude, and you have no problems with it. It's like just such a reliable Pokemon to switch and take hits, and very few things can like knock it out easily. So it serves as like really, really good team support. The Mankey's grabbing Darmanitan, one of the hardest things to switch into in the format, with that 145 attack stat or 140 attack stat paired with 95 speed. Sheer Force boosts its Flare Blitz and some of its other moves like you know, Rock Slide and stuff. So it just hits really, really hard. This thing is a Choice Banded, Life Orb, which doesn't even reveal the item. You think it's Scarfed, and it just is Life Orb. It just runs through you. Like I said, the key to Shady's team is really just having those wall breakers to kind of, you know, open up some space for Mega Pinsir and Thundurus, and Darmanitan and Dragalge really provide that for him. The Bewear is grabbing Entei here in tier 2. Entei known for its ability to spam a great move in Sacred Fire, which has a 50% chance to burn the opponent. So it really makes preparation very difficult around this thing, because you can't switch in your physical attackers against it because you have a 50% chance to be burned, and it's got a good speed stat as well. So it does get Stomping Tantrum now as well, which is kind of an upgrade to Bulldoze to hit those other fire type Pokemon, which is really nice. But Entei is just a really, really offensive threat, and under Sticky Webs, that can be really difficult to deal with the Choice Banded Entei. What do you think about this Whimsicott pick here for the Blaziken's, Chase?
I think Whimsicott's a great Pokemon. I think it provides a really, really good speed. I believe it's base 116 speed. Overall, being able to have 2 really good abilities, both in Prankster and Infiltrator. Being able to toss off moves like Prankster Leech Seed, Prankster Cotton Guard to help sponge physical hits a little bit better. Moonblast and Grass and Fairy Stab is just always so good in most times, in most situations. Being able to have access to Prankster Defog, Prankster Tailwind as well. Pivot, Momentum with U-turns. Now he's got a couple turners on his team for Ninja and Rotom. Speaking of U-turners, I'm going to grab Crobat out of tier 3. Crobat, alright, cue the nasty bad jokes. But Crobat's a really cool Pokemon. It is very bulky. It's very fast with base 130. Easy. That was indeed easy. Being able to be a fast defogger, a fast taunt user, being able to U-turn, being able to hit really hard with like Banded Brave Birds and stuff like that. Super Fang as well. And also, you know, you can obviously run a Nasty Plot special set as well, but I think it provides really, really good support for the team. Next up, we've got Duncan Kneedeep in the Free State Torcats grabbing Kingdra, pairing with that Politoed. Talk to me about Kingdra, Dan.
Yeah, this is scary, man. He's got the Rain to set. Kingdra in Rain gets that Swift Swim ability, boosting its speed, doubling its speed. You can also run Kingdra outside of Rain as the Critra set with Scope Lens and Focus Energy, making it so his moves always crit, and you can just continuously fire off Draco Meteors, making this thing really, really difficult to switch into. It's a really good Pokemon in the fact that it only has a couple weaknesses to Dragon and Fairy, so that alone makes it really, really solid. We got an upgraded Incineroar here in round 6. Incineroar now has access to Intimidate, which makes it so good. Priority and Fake Out, can U-turn around, which is really cool. It's got a decent attack stat, fire and dark typing, and a decent amount of natural bulk. Good Assault Vest user, but its real primary function is the fact that it can use Intimidate to kind of weaken those physical attackers. It can also use things like Will-O-Wisp, but again, U-turning around is really, really nice, and giving him free switch-ins to things like Mamoswine is just so valuable for the New Orleans Pelipers. And the Chimcharger's grabbing Mandibuzz here. Mandibuzz, known as one of the more reliable defogging Pokemon, does have a weakness to rocks, but can defog those hazards away, being dark and flying type. So bulky and very difficult to take down with Roost, kind of keeping it alive, basically. It's so hard to kind of take down. So that's pretty much it for round 6 here, as someone's opening the garage. We got Mandibuzz there, like I said, for the Chimchargers, wrapping it up. Some of the scary stuff that I see, though, Xurkitree paired with Psychic Z. Now we understand his pick there. I think Gallade here in round 6, very valuable for Numb Nexus. And then I think, again, Bronzong just is so good for the Miami Down fans.
Yeah, no, I think this I think this entire draft, I think this entire round went really, really well. I see a lot of fire type Pokemon going this round. I definitely need to start continuing. I definitely need to start thinking about a fire type Pokemon for myself, but we start to see a lot more bulk being drafted. We've seen a lot of offense being drafted in the earlier rounds, and now we start to see that bulk being paired off. I think one of the niche picks in this is definitely Mr. Talent's Sigilith pick. I definitely also do agree with the Bronzong pick from the Don fans.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely Bronzong's so good. Lucario, also another really solid pick. Just a lot of really good picks. I think the only, aside from Sigilyph, the only other thing that really surprises me in this round maybe Whimsicott. I personally don't rate Whimsicott that highly, but it gives him a grass and fairy type, and it does have a lot of team supporting options, and it could be really cool to see that paired with like Memento, like a Z Memento, if he grabs Dark Z later on in the draft. So let's jump right into round 7 here. We got the Chimp Chargers going up next, and they're going to grab Alolan Muck. Alolan Muck obviously gaining that dark typing from the regular Cantonian Muck form. This thing is really, really good because of the Super Berries Gluttony, allowing him to basically heal up after he drops below 50%. Only one weakness to ground types, which is super valuable as well. He's got a couple of immunities there with Manabuzz and Megalodios, not really caring about those ground types, so that's really solid. Poison Touch makes it so his poison jabs are going to poison actually more than half of the time, making that very good. Knockoff really cool as well, easy to spam, does have priority with Shadow Sneak, just a really bulky kind of, you know, pivoty type Pokemon for the team. You got the Pelipper's grabbing Escavalier. Escavalier is a steel and bug type Pokemon that has only one weakness to fire types. It is really nicely run with an Assault Vest and can be easily splashed into teams because of its great coverage options with like Pursuit and Knockoff, Mega Horn, and Drill Run, allowing it to kind of weaken things. If you pair it with the Trick Room Setter as well, you can run Fell Stinger and really put some good stuff there. So I think Escavalier is a really cool pick here in round 7. It gives him a steel type. This was the biggest blow to me. The Free State Torcats grabbing Fly Z. It's no secret that that was really kind of my draft plan from the beginning, was to grab Fly Z. His primary purpose to pair it with is the Tapu Koko, of course. Tapu Koko with Mirror Move and Brave Bird, getting really powerful Fly Z coming off of that. But when this happened, I actually was like really upset with Duncan. I like actually like messaged him and I'm like, Duncan, like you really just ruined my dreams there with that, because you just took Fly Z from me, and like I really wanted it. Chase, you got Gligar. Talk to us.
Gligar is really cool. I think it pairs pretty nicely with Crobat too as another defogger. It takes rock support off of Registeel and Mega Diancie. It does have access to Eevee, giving me a little more bulk. It does have the immunity ability not to prevent it from being toxic. Access to the Eevee Light as well. The obviously it's 4 times weakness to ice and the 1 times weakness to water. Crobat doesn't appreciate the ice, but it does give a nice electric immunity for the team, so I don't just get Volt Switched all over by a lot of people, which is really nice. Eviolite pairing off with its natural bulk does make it so not even HP Ices can really take me down as well. Next up here, we see a Game Boy Luke and the Bristol City Blazekins grabbing Scrafty out of Tier 4. Scrafty is a pretty cool Pokemon. I like it. It's got some really cool abilities in Intimidate, Moxie, and Shed Skin. Intimidate, providing a little bit more defensive backbone. We have the Shed Skin ability to potentially, for like a bulk up rest set, it can also absorb toxics, absorb burns, and things like that as well. Then the Moxie set, if you feels like setting up with moves like Dragon Dance as well, can start getting a little bit scary. We've got Wolf Glick in the Amoonguss Beavers. The Milwaukee Beavers grabbing Amoonguss as their second free slot, pairing off a nice Regenerator core with Tornadus Therian as well. Talk to me a little bit about Amoonguss, Dan.
Yeah, man, that Regenerator makes it so valuable, and it only has those weaknesses to fire and, or, I'm sorry, flying, fire, ice, and psychic. So very bulky there, and can just heal up pretty easily. Regenerator core with Tornadus is really cool as well, and it does have access to 100% accurate Spore, which can put Pokemon to sleep, allowing other Pokemon to kind of set up and take advantage of that. Meloetta here for Shady Penguin, grabbing Tier 3 Meloetta. Does get the, obviously, the standard Meloetta, which can Relic Song into Pirouette form, giving it a lot of versatility, something that a lot of Pokemon don't have. It essentially can be 2 Pokemon in 1 if you use it the right way. So Meloetta itself is just really bulky, especially on the special side. Paired nicely with an Assault Vest, this thing can be very difficult to take down, and it gets set up with Calm Minds. I can tell you I've been 6-0'd by one before, so you know, this thing is definitely a beast. So pretty cool Pokemon there. The Don fans grabbing Umbreon here. I've used Bronzong, Umbreon as a core together. Very solid. Obviously being able to kind of cover each other's weaknesses for the most part. You know, Bronzong's dark weakness, Umbreon really doesn't care about those, and can use Wish support to heal up the rest of the team, which something like Don fan really appreciates. Donphan and Bronzong both appreciate. So not to mention giving opportunities to switch out with Baton Pass, Dry Passing to get Mega Charizard in. Very, very cool stuff there. Umbreon's just a really good, you know, bulky Pokemon, and it's got so much natural bulk, and being a dark type is really, really useful there. And the Cubchoo is grabbing another dark type here with a Alolan Persian in tier 4. Alolan Persian has that parting shot, so he has 2 parting shot Pokemon now with Silvally and Alolan Persian, both of which can switch out and provide team momentum. The other thing about Persian is it's got that fur coat, so it's very, very bulky on the physical side as a result of that. And because it typically runs foul play, you don't even have to invest into its attack stats. It can also be a nasty plot set with Technician. Can be kind of cool there too. I think it gets like things like Water Pulse and stuff, so can really run some funny stuff with this thing, but its primary job is to support the team. And Chase, what do you think about the Chandelure pick here for the Crocrux?
I like Chandelure. Chandelure's a great Pokemon. It has the Flash Fire ability, also has the Infiltrator ability too, allowing it to bypass through subs. It can run a very nice sub call mindset. It can be a great Scarfer, great Specs user. It can abuse the move Trick, being able to cripple maybe some bulkier Pokemon. Crippling walls. I think it's got great stab. I think it's got some Pokemon that he needed on his team. You know, he needed some ghost types. He needed a fire type on his team to pair nicely with Serena and Manaphy. I think it's got some great natural bulk. I think he's got Pokemon to help abuse that dark weakness that it does have. We've got aDrive in the Minnesota Vikavolt grabbing a Mega Gyarados.
So you can see why I wanted Fly Z so badly, but unfortunately that was taken. But I think Mega Gyarados is going to be sick. Mega Gyarados under Aurora Veil, dude. I love it. I love it so much, man. The fact that I can run it under Aurora Veil and set up Dragon Dances. But I also love the fact that I can run regular Gyarados paired with a Z Crystal as well. So gonna be trying to grab a Z Crystal that complements with that. But I just think that Mega Gyarados is so underrated in Draft League format. It sports an incredible attack stat. It's got great bulk. Its bulk is equivalent to Umbreon's pretty much. I'm really excited about Mega Gyarados. The Umbreon's grabbing a Selgor here. A Selgor, one of the fastest threats in the format, has the ability to set up spikes, and now actually has Toxic Spikes as well, which is super cool. It got that as kind of a bonus in Sun and Moon, Ultra Sun and Moon. Can set a U-turn out, can be pretty offensive. Does have the ability to you know, do a lot of different things, man. It's a really cool Pokemon. And again, its hazard support is really hard to beat. The Pittsburgh Pichu is grabbing Jellicent here. Jellicent, known as a very bulky water ghost type spin blocker, which could really be nice with his Nidoqueen there. And again, it does have recovery. It can burn things with Will-O-Wisp. It's very bulky. Pairs nicely with Snorlax as well. He's just got so much bulk on this team, man. Nexus has so much bulk, dude.
Stop! I don't want to play Nexus.
Yeah, he's got so much, dude. It would stink to have to play him round 1 or week 1. But the Drizzlers here are gonna grab Kyurem, regular Kyurem here. This thing is actually pretty good, man. It's a little slow, but it does have that rock sweetness, but does get Roost, and kind of in a tier 3 pick. It does have some value, I think. Ice type stab can be very difficult to switch into, and I think it's like 130 attack stat or 130 special attack, something like that. So it is a really
it hits super hard. I love regular Kyurem, honestly. I think it provides also like a great defensive backbone in potential situations with moves like Sub, being able to pressure stall out, being able to toss off Toxics, Recovery, and Roost. Earth powers, Flash Cannons, Dracos, Dragon Pulse, the Tech Hidden powers are always a really cool thing to have. We've got Patters, the Newcastle Nidokings, grabbing Ribombi, a bug fairy type Pokemon, pretty fast, 127 base speed. Does have the, I believe it's the Shield Dust ability, preventing secondary effects from happening. He does also have access to Sticky Webs now too, which can be very cool. Being able to provide support for mons like Salamence, Arcanine, and Crocodile, and Lucario, actually. So I really like this pick, being able to set up with Quiver Dance and be an offensive threat on its own. We have Mr. Town, the New York Marauders, grabbing Mega Sharpedo, which is absolutely incredible. Because we do not have to Mega first turn, he can also get a couple speed boosts off, and then Mega Evolve, being able to take advantage of the Strong Jaw, being able to pair that potentially with a Z Crystal coming up in later rounds could also be a cool thing as well. I really like this Mega Sharpedo. I think he's got his bases covered as far as mons to sponge those electric types, doubling up on water types, Milotic and a Mega Sharpedo as well. And as we come into the round 7 recap, we start to see a lot more mons go. We see our second, I believe it's our second Z Crystal go.
Yep, so Fly and Psychic Z so far have gone. We see some really cool things there. The Alolan Muck, I think, in round 7 is just super duper good. The Ribombi pick, really cool. Being able to set up those webs for things like Salamence and stuff could be really valuable. I'm really excited about my Mega Gyarados pick. You know, like I said, I wanted Fly Z. Was really bummed that it got taken, but you know, I'll try to pair it with a different Z Crystal. I think Umbreon Bronzong is just super duper good.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. It's a great synergistic core. I think the Meloetta pick from Shady is really, really cool. Being able to provide not only a bulky psychic type Pokemon that can set up with Calm Minds, but also giving him a little bit more speed control with that, with being able to transition into the pirouette form, giving him an incredibly fast Pokemon, being able to hit hard with those close combats as well. The Alolan pick from MV, I don't think comes to a surprise to anybody. I think really we need to stop Nexus from drafting any more Pokemon and just call it good at that point as well.
I'm going to agree with you on that one. Let's jump right into round 8. The Talon squad is going to grab Slurpuff. Slurpuff has the ability to set up sticky webs now, which is really, really cool. It also has the ability to run Calm Mind with things like Flamethrower and Dazzling Gleam, and Surf as well, but it can also be that Belly Drum set, and that's what's really scary. Unburdened Belly Drum, it can activate that Citrus Berry, double its speed, have +6 attack, and then you pretty much lose. So I can tell you Slurpuff, really, really good Pokemon here, and grabbing it in round 8, dude, I think this Pokemon can easily lead the league in kills. I'm not even kidding when I say that. All it takes is for it to get 2 or 3 sweeps with Belly Drum, and it can easily be one of the top 5 in the league in kills. So pretty crazy stuff there. Tornadus Eye here, incarnate form in tier 3. Round 8 here. Tornadus rocks a 111 base speed stat. Does have the ability to rock Defiant or Prankster. Very cool there. Does get U-turn, knockoff, superpower, a bunch of different coverage options there. Does have Hurricane, which is a little bit less accurate. We'll see if he grabs Pelipper or something later on to kind of help with that. But it can set up its own Rain Dance if it wants to. It does have Acrobatics if you don't want to run an item. So lots of options there. The Drizzler is grabbing something really slow here with his Hitmon top. Anything under base 100 is slow, guys. No, I'm kidding. But Hitmon top, obviously being a Rapid Spinner technician, does get Intimidate, so it can reduce the attack stat of opposing Pokemons. A primary application, though, is to remove hazards, which will be really nice for Victini. I think Victini and Kirama will definitely appreciate that. But it does have priority, too. It gets Bullet Punch and Fake Out, and I think Bach Punch, too. So with Technician, so it can boost up those priority moves and actually do some pretty cool things there. With little Hitmon top. The Pittsburgh Pichus continuing to add to their very, very scary team with Rotom-Mow. Rotom-Mow having access to Defog now, as all the Rotoms do. Grass and Electric type Pokemon that only that doesn't have any it's immunity to ground, which is really cool, which is nice for things like Nidoqueen. He's got a lot of ground immunities on this team, I feel like, or at least a couple, which is nice for that Nidoqueen, really helping out. And obviously providing pivoting options with Volt Switch and things like that. So Rotom-Mow, really solid Pokemon. I gotta be honest, I really like this dude, and obviously can provide Will-O-Wisp support and things like that. The Umbreon's grabbing Aggron, which then takes Mega Aggron off the board. Aggron, of course, a steel and rock type Pokemon. This thing is so bulky. Does have sturdy, can set up hazards with Stealth Rock, can also run Rock Polish and Head Smash. Hits really, really hard with that Head Smash. It's very difficult to switch into. Rock being one of the best offensive types in the draft, so like it could just hit really, really hard with those Head Smashes. I guess did he have a Steel type prior? No, he didn't have a Steel type, so this is the Steel type that he was trying to snag for the Umbreon. So not surprising to see that there. And then I'm gonna grab Rocky MZ. Like I said, I wanted to fly Z, but Rocky MZ is the next best bet. Rocky MZ Landers is actually a really good set. You can run it with Stone Edge to hit those flying types that Earthquake doesn't hit. It also can work with Gyarados running Stone Edge as well. So I do have a couple options there to run with Rocky MZ. I felt like that was the best bet for me, kind of fitting a Z Crystal onto the team, outside of maybe Ground MZ. So like I said, I had to fill in a gap there since Fly was taken, but I think Rocky MZ is going to be pretty solid there. Chase, I'll let you take it away from here because I talked a lot.
No, I think Rocky MZ is really cool. I think pairing it with Lando and Mega Gyara is cool. You got Day to Dave in the Kansas City Crocorox grabbing Druddigon out of tier 4. Druddigon, one of my new favorite dragon type Pokemon, if I'm being completely honest with you. Very bulky Pokemon. Has some great abilities in Mold Breaker, has some great abilities in Sheer Force, and Rough Skin as well, being able to not only provide a defensive role with, you know, like a Rocky Helmet Rough Skin set, being able to be like a Life Orb Sheer Force user. And then Mold Breaker can just be really cool as well. It provides good speed controlled moves like Glare, phasing with Roar and Dragon Tail, and then of course being able to set up rocks, taking rock pressure off of Pokemon like Jirachi. We've got Galactic in the Chicago Cup Shoes picking up Darkinium Z. We see it 2 Z Crystals go this round so far.
This is so good, dude, for so many reasons, man. Parting Shot Silvally, Parting Shot Persian, and Memento Uxie, dude.
Oh, no, very, very good. Being able to run those Z Memento, Z Parting Shot as well. Being able to toss off some very scary Dark Z moves as well with Pokemon like Blacephalon. Being able to just provide more support for his team for those wall breakers, such as Persian, such as the Blacephalon as well. This is a big duck. We've got the Miami Don fans and Kyle A, the only coach that matters, grabbing Porygon 2. Porygon 2, I've definitely sing Kyle A pull off some stuff with Porygon 2, man. Let me tell you, I've seen some max speed Porygon 2s. He ran Rest, Sleep Talk, Facade Porygon 2 against me. Pairing that with Donphan, Bronzong, and Umbreon, I'd love to see a Ghost type on his team to be able to help, because right now he seems a little bit little bit too bulky right now, and he doesn't appreciate a lot of fighting moves. Well, he does have some resistance though. The New York Yankees and Shady Penguin grabbing Gastrodon in tier 4. I love Gastrodon. So good. So good. Nice and Cindy. Being able to have access to recover, being able to toss off Scalds, stab Earthquakes and Earth Power is toxic. Just does so much. It's a water immunity on his team as well. I think it's a great pick. I think even with that 4x Grass weakness, he's pretty covered. He's got Ferrothorn and Dragalge with both resistant 4x. He's got the Mega Pinsir and the Thundurus with both resistant, and the Darmanitan that resisted as well. Wolfglick and the Milwaukee Bewares picking up Frostlass out of tier 4. Now, this is a really cool pick here. Frostlass being very fast, having that nice ice and ghost stab, being able to set up spikes, being able to be a fast taunt user, a fast Will-O-Wisp user, a fast Destiny Bond user as well, being able to potentially take care of some Pokemon that might otherwise hinder the progress of Mega Tyranitar sweeping through a team, and say being able to wall break as well. Hits so hard with Shadow Ball and Ice Beams and stuff like that as well. It's I think it's a great pick coming out of tier 4, and here we go. We see one big chinned boy right here, Game Boy Luke grabbing Mega Steelix. Talk to me a little bit about Mega Steelix, Dan.
Yeah, so one thing I want to point out here is Mega Steelix actually gives Luke a lot of free points, like to use for his free picks, so it gives him more points than maybe grabbing like a Mega Gallade or something would. Mega Steelix is so bulky, dude. It's such a reliable Stealth Rock setter, and he can use that sturdy to his advantage because he doesn't have to Mega Evolve it right away. I'm curious to see whether he's going to pair it, though, with a Sand Setter, because then it could really take advantage of that Sand Force ability and hit really, really hard. So, great looking Pokemon. Never seen it used in Draft League, though, so we'll see how that turns out. Spiritomb, Chase, talk to us about this little ghost dude.
Okay, so as we're getting into the rounds, tier 5 is, I think is the first tier 5 pick as well. So I've got my first tier 4. I grabbed the first tier 4 and the first tier 5 in the draft. Spiritomb is really, really cool. Only one weakness in fairy typing, which pairs very nicely with my Registeel and my Crobat as well. It's a good spin blocker. It's a good Will-O-Wisp user as well. It's a great pursuit trapper too. Very solid. Speaking of pursuit traps, it helps out against Pokemon like this with Duncan Knee grabbing.
This is a scary team, dude.
Gengar, yeah, this is some. If I've ever seen hyper offense, this is some hyper offense here. I love Gengar. Gengar being able to have those incredibly powerful Sludge Waves and Shadow Balls, being able to trick as well, being able to Destiny Bond, being able to Will-O-Wisp, being able to like sub-disable as well. I really, really like how this team is lining up. What do you think about the Gengar pick?
I think it's really scary. That's what I think, man. That's going to be a tough team to deal with. The New Orleans Pelipper grabbing regular Rotom here in tier 5. Rotom's really cool. It's got a couple immunities to normal. It's a ground type. Gotta love that. It also has the ability to Volt Switch around and remove hazards with Defog. So I think that makes it really useful. It's a great trick user in tricking Scarfs to other Pokemon. It can also be really good to Will-O-Wisp and Thunder Wave and spread status around. It's one of those Pokemon that just like, it can really do a lot of different roles. And you know, I used it against you in a recent MPA season. You don't really expect much out of it, but it can actually put in some work. The Chimcharger's grabbing Magneton here to round out round 8. Magneton known for its steel trapping abilities. Obviously, it's a lower tier version of Magnezone. Can run Eviolite, can also run Z-Crystals and be pretty effective there. It does have Sturdy as well. You can fake people out. I think this is really a good pick to kind of clear the way for things like Clefable and Latias to try to sweep.
Oh no, I think it's really, really awesome. Magnapole being able to not only run Analytic as well gives him a very nice electric type Pokemon to be able to just kind of pivot around. Being able to trap some other of those steel types, like you said, is really, really cool. And rounding out this round, rounding the round. Two Z-Crystals go. We see a lot of Bolt go. We see Mega Steelix go. We see our first tier 5s dipped into. How do you feel about this?
I think this is really cool. This draft, this round was really cool. We saw Darkinium Z for Elliott. Great pick there. I think that was just being able to pair that with 2 Parting Shot users and a Momentum user. That's really, really awesome there. I think the Gengar pick, dude, in round 8, that's an incredible Pokemon. Taking Mega Aggron off the board with Aggron, really cool there. Mega Aggron being a really good switch into his Gardevoir, so kind of cool there. And then you see, I think the Slurpuff pick. Like I said, Slurpuff as a low tier pick is one of those Pokemon that I said easily could lead the league in kills when all is said and done, because all it takes is a few sweeps, and it has the ability to do that and also set up those webs. So some really cool picks there. I think the only thing that maybe stands out to me is like a question mark is Mega Steelix, man. Not trying to hate on it. I've just never seen it used. It's so bulky, but it's really slow. So it's going to be interesting to see how he uses that Mega Steelix. I think if he could pair it with a Sand Setter, I could really see the use there, because it is a hard-hitting Pokemon with that Sand Force. But again, I'm curious to see how it's used, because again, I've never seen it used effectively. I know in like VGC it can be used really well. I know Wolf was doing that, but in Draft League, I think it's a little tougher. But who knows? You know, the fact that it can't run leftovers, I think, is going to be tough. you know, Steelix is a good mon, but Mega Steelix without those items I think is going to be really difficult. But we'll see how it goes. So I think we're ready for round 9, Chase. But do you have any thoughts on this round 8 first?
No, nothing too crazy. We're starting to see a lot of cool picks go. I think a mon like Tornadus going this late is really cool. I think a mon like Gengar as well. I think Duncan Knee Deep is just putting together a very, very nice hyper offensive team now that I start to see how that goes. And yeah, no, I really do enjoy how this draft is panning out. I think the Gastrodon pick, again, another really, really great pick. Porygon 2. I think people might be sleeping on the bulk that Kyle A has right now. It's very
oh my god, dude.
Umbreon, Donphan, Bronzong, and now P2. Oof.
Yeah,
oof.
very, very scary.
ADR oof.
ADR oof. Right into Abomasnow here in, what is this, tier 5? I think Abomasnow, yeah, so Abomasnow was dropped to tier 5 for this draft. Abomasnow, very, very powerful hail setter, obviously, with its snow warning ability. Can fire off blizzards, one of the few Pokemon that can fire off blizzards with 100% accuracy. Does get Giga Drain, Wood Hammer, Ice Shard. Can be really effective with both its physical and special attack stat. Obviously a very slow Pokemon, but I think in tier 5, this is really good value here for MV. And MV known for his heat sets. We'll see if he can keep that Abomasnow out of the heat this season. You got the New Orleans Pelipper's finally grabbing his tier 1. I think he's the last guy to grab one. Terrakion. Terrakion was actually the GBA kill leader up until like season 6 or 7. Just an absolute monster. Choice band in close combats, can set up rock polishes. Obviously hits very hard with Stone Edge. Just a really, really offensive threat with a 108 base speed, so it can be very difficult to switch into. You know, Terrakion, like I said, it can set up Swords Dances, could be a lead with Stealth Rocks, could do a lot of different things there. Very, very solid. We're going to see Ludi Loco here for the Torracats, grabbing a Rain Sweeper to pair with Kingdra and his Politoed. This is a very cool Rain team kind of coming to fruition here, as we can see. Usually every season you get one person grabbing a Rain team, and that's going to be the Torracats this season. And Ludi Loco is very, very nice. He will be dancing his way to some pretty serious Giga Drain Surfs and all sorts of stuff with the Rain falling on his head. Not to mention his ability Rain Dish. You could fill up that pineapple and heal some health there too, so don't be surprised if he does that with Leech Seed. Chase, Raikou, round 9. That's crazy.
I was ready. I was ready for this boy. Gives me some great speed. Raikou, I love Raikou. Being able to set up Calm Minds and just being very, very fast overall. It's got that pressure ability to kind of maybe help out, stall out some moves, you know. But great Pokemon overall. I really think that Calm Mind Raikou is really cool. Specs Raikou, Scarf Raikou gives me a little bit of some more speed diversity. Got 110 on Mega Diancie, 130 on Crobat. Now we're hitting 115 with Raikou. I also need a fast electric type, and honestly, it just fit the bill. We've got the Bristol City Blazekins grabbing Poisinium Z, a very interesting Z crystal, especially going round 9. I think that pairs very nicely with potentially mons like Zygarde being able to run like a Poisinium Z Sludge Wave, Nihilego as well, Greninja with Gunk Shots, Scrafty with Poison Jab, Necrozma with Poison Jab as well. I think it could definitely catch some people off guard if they're not ready for it.
Yeah, we've got the Beware's grabbing Piloswine in tier 5 here. Piloswine, Mamoswine's little brother, rocks that Eviolite, allowing it to have quite a bit of bulk and has some reliable Stealth Rock options there to set up those hazards. Thick Fat ability removes its weakness to fire types and gives it a resistance to ice types, which can be really good. This thing can be very difficult to take down, and if, you know, on this team, I feel like it's actually a pretty good fit. Gives him an electric immunity, which is nice for things like Tornadus, and just a really good tier 5, one of the better tier 5, so it does have priority and a pretty good attack stat, base 100 attack as well. The New York Yankees grabbing tier 5 Trevenant, another pretty solid Pokemon in tier 5 that previously hasn't seen a lot of light of day in Draft League, but Ghost and Grass typing with Harvest as an ability is really cool. It also has Natural Cure and has some pretty cool options in Shadow Claw and Horn Leech to heal itself up. Leech Seed, it can also run, you know, like I said, Toxic as kind of a way to whittle down the opponent. But again, the gotta love the Harvest set. I think that's really cool for the Yankees here, grabbing Trevenant in tier 5 as just kind of a bulky Grass type Pokemon. We're going to see Kyle A and the Don fans grabbing Normalium Z and Normalium Z Belly Drum with Azumarill and Normalium Z Belly Drum with Charizard are now options, Chase. That's scary.
If he runs Normalium Z regular Charizard, honestly, Kyle A remains the GOAT until I die. Normalium Z is really cool, though. Like we said, it does give it a Z Belly Drum. It does also offer things like Heliolisk, like a Normalium Z Hyper Beam, being able to toss those off. Normalium Z Hyper Voice as well. I think it's a cool Pokemon. I think it's cool. I think it's a cool pick to go with the Pokemon that he's got. I think it's a great choice. We see Galactic Elite in the Chicago Cub Shoes grabbing Claydol out of tier 5. a ground type Pokemon with Levitate, being able to set up rocks and being able to remove them as well. I think it's nice that he picked up a spinner because I believe beforehand Klefki and Silvally were his only forms of hazard removal. So being able to add to that is really awesome as well. It's a very bulky Pokemon. It does have that weakness to ice and dark, but he does have both of those covered on the team as well. I think it's a really, really solid pick. We see Data Dave and the Kansas City Crocorox grabbing Ditto as their third free pick.
Chase, you silly. You silly Chase. We got ourselves a Ditto here. Ditto's really cool because it in team building, it's one of those Pokemon that's really effective on the bench because it makes your opponent like really think about whether they bring setup Pokemon, because if Ditto comes in and copies their setup and it's Choice Scarf, it can actually counter sweep. So that's one of the big things about Ditto, but it can also be used to scout sets, which is really, really useful. It can scout sets out. I love this little combo here. Alolan Sandslash and Alolan Ninetales, man. Another
grabbing Alolan Sandslash and Alolan Ninetales.
I love
Frankly, I'm shocked.
I love it, man. I love me some Alolan Sandslash, dude. This thing is a beast, dude. It hits really hard. Obviously, Slush Rush doubling its speed. Iron Head, Icicle Crash does get Earthquake. Can take advantage of Rocky MZ with a Rock Slide. So that's kind of cool. It does give me another Rapid Spinner. Another Hazard Remover, can set up Stealth Rocks. I love Alolan Ninetales and Alolan Sandslash. Great core. They're really, really awesome, and I've used them a couple times, so I'm excited to use them again. We've got Zoroark here for the Umbreons. This is scary, man. Zoroark's Illusion is going to be really difficult to deal with because he's got so many big threats like Garchomp and Gardevoir. It's going to be really difficult to kind of deal with there. Zoroark has the ability to run physical or special offensive sets, being able to run Knockoff and Nasty Plot. Swords Dance, I think it does get Sludge Bomb now as well. Flamethrower. This thing can be really scary, especially if you're not like ready for it. You catch like a Fire Blast to the face, man. I don't know. Fire MZ here for the Nexus and the Pichus. Fire MZ is a pretty interesting choice. I'm a little surprised here early on to see Fire MZ. Fire MZ primarily paired with Hydreigon for Fire Blast. I'm not really seeing too much other synergy though. Maybe Z Sunny Day, Chase?
So Celesteela can definitely abuse the fire.
Yeah, that's true.
Hydreigon, Snorlax with Fire MZ, Z Punch. One of the things that I do want to point out though is that he drafted Fire MZ with no fire type on his.
Yeah, we'll see kind of how that pans out there, but maybe Z Sunny Day or something at some point with some Pokemon. The Drizzler's grabbing Cradilly here. Cradilly is grass and rock type with that cool Storm Drain ability, allowing it to suck in those water type moves. Great Stealth Rock setter as well, which is really nice, and just a naturally pretty bulky Pokemon that can take some hits and also deal out a decent amount of damage. Has reliable recovery in Recover, which is cool, and you can fire off things like Stone Edge or Rock Slides or Ancient Powers, things like that to kind of hit from the the rock typing there. So got kind of a cool pick for the Drizzlers there. We're gonna see Fightinium Z, which is very scary paired with that Lucario. Also paired, you could run it on Salamence. You can run it on Arcanine with Close Combat. You can run it on Tornadus with Superpower. What do you think about the Fightinium Z here?
I think it's pretty cool. I think it pairs pretty nicely with some of his threats. Like you said, Tornadus, Lucario, Crocodile, Arcanine can all embrace that. Salamence with what, like Brick Break?
Yeah.
Yeah, no. I think it's really, really cool being able to just add that extra offensive option. I definitely can see it being paired with something like Lucario. Or
that's a big ball.
More often than not. That's. All right. Back to the stream. Electro, tier 5. Very fast electric type Pokemon. Nothing incredibly overwhelming. As far as offensive powers go. Thunderbolt, Volt Switch, Signal Beam. It's got some hidden powers. I really don't see Electrode used too much, but that is a very fast Pokemon. I believe. What is its speed stat? Like 150?
Yeah, 150.
150. Yeah, there's not too many Pokemon like even drafted that are still on the board that can top that. Like Mega Alakazam, I think. Like the other like Mega Arrow. Other than that, I mean, Electrode I believe to be the fastest Pokemon drafted right now. But as we round out round 9, there are definitely some nice picks here. We see 4 more Z crystals go. Only a few more coaches need to grab a Z crystal. What do you think about this round?
Yeah, I think Kyle like grabbing Normalium Z for Belly Drum on a Azumarill is really solid. That's pretty scary. John grabbing the first tier 1 for him, the Terrakion. Very cool there. I think Ditto's a cool pick as well. I've always been a fan of Ditto in Draft League. It's like I said, it does so much work just sitting on the bench. And I think you grabbing Raikou here in round 9, that's so good, dude. Raikou's such a beast.
Hey, I love it. I think it's really, really cool. I'm really interested to see about the Trevenant pick.
Yeah, Trevenant, man. That's
Trevenant
tier 5 though. Tier 5, So interested to see like how that's gonna work out. It's a pretty good solid value. Normally it's in tier 4, so pretty cool there. You ready to jump into round 10?
Round 10, 3 more rounds to go. Let's run it.
Let's make it happen. Durant, the durable ant, is here. This thing is a beast, dude. Home Claw's Hustle, very hard to switch into. Obviously boosting that attack stat to insane levels. It's got a great speed stat, 109, I think. Yeah, 109, I'm pretty sure. Or 108, 109, 110, 109, I think. X-Scissor, Iron Head, Hustle. It's just the Hustle, man. The Hustle ability is just so good. It's so powerful, dude, with Hustle. So, did I say it's really powerful with Hustle? What do you think about Durant, Chase?
I think it gets. I think it's really, really cool with Hustle. I think it's really, really strong with that. But yeah, no, being able to set up with Home Claws, being able to have some really, really good offensive typing is really nice as well. See another fast boy go. We see Patters, the Newcastle Nido-Kings, out of Tier 4, grabbing a Alolan Raichu. Very cool Pokemon, very fast with 110 base speed. Does have access now to it can run moves like Surf, it can run moves like Grass Knot, it can obviously does have dual stab and electric and psychic. Being a fast Volt Switcher, really cool. I think it's a really nice electric Pokemon that pairs very nicely with the rest of his team. He didn't really need too much of a defensive electric type, so seeing this offensive pressure come out is really nice. We see definitely in the Seattle Drizzlers grabbing Drapion as their second free pick. Drapion being a poison and dark type, only weak to that ground typing. Really cool Pokemon, base 95 speed. Being able to set up moves like Swords Dance, Stab knockoffs are always just a great thing to have. I think it is a fantastic. What do you think?
Yeah, I think Drapion's super solid, man. I love the fact that it can set up like T-Spikes and Whirlwind Pokemon out as well. It's kind of like shuffle that. I think that's really cool. The Pichu's grabbing Blaziken here for their free 3, tier 4. Blaziken does take advantage of that Fire MZ, so we were waiting for that. And here could be the Z Sunny Day set, being able to boosted speed by 1, set up Sunny Day, and then also be able to fire off some Flare Blitzes and things like that. So Blaziken's just a very, very powerful Pokemon from the physical and special side, and at base 80 speed, it can actually be pretty effective there as a choice Scarf user. You know, it's very difficult to switch into, so pretty cool
Something
Pokemon
to
there.
note is that it is not Speed Boost, it is Blaziken.
Yes, correct, thank you. It is Blaziken, not Speed Boost Blaziken. The Umbreon's grabbing Hitmonchan in tier 5. I think that's really good value, grabbing a Rapid Spinner, and a Pokemon that has Iron Fist, great Assault Vest user out of tier 5. Again, this thing can remove hazards, has the Elemental Punches, which is really cool, and it can have priority with Mach Punch and Bullet Punch, if I'm not mistaken. So those two give it some value there in terms of kind of giving the team some priority, and again, hazard removal options outside of you know, Zapdos there with Defog. And I gotta get the mascot pick, baby. Vikavolt has arrived, man. Vikavolt is one of my homies, dude. I had to get this. It's a fun league, man. I had to grab Vikavolt, dude. Vikavolt in Aurora Veil with agility is really cool. It's got an incredible special attack stat. I love the Trick Room option as well with Reuniclus and Vikavolt. I think that's really cool, being able to run Trick Room. But I've used this thing in the past, again, on that same championship team. I think it went 8-0 and ultimately helped win that championship, man. So I had to bring it back, man. I'm bringing some old favorites back, so... Farium Z here for Data Dave. Farium Z, interesting, man. You compare that with Mega Absol Play Rough, like Absol Play Rough, but I think the primary use for it is probably going to be Togekiss and a Dazzling Gleam. But are you seeing anything else there? Play Rough on Serena. Jirachi, I might get some fairy moves.
Jirachi with Play Rough and Moonblast can definitely take advantage of that. Togekiss with Moonblast as well. Serena with the Play Rough. Absol with Play Rough as well can be very, very nice. And Twinkle Tackles is one of those things that you're going to have to, like, prepare for, honestly. It doesn't have to be one of those things that is brought every week. Next up, Galactica and the Chicago Cubchoo's grabbing Lapras. Lapras is a pretty interesting pick, honestly. I really enjoy this. It's got that nice water absorb, being able to have very hard-hitting moves in, you know, those Hydro Pumps, Freeze Dries, and stuff. I think it's a solid water-type pickup for the Cubchoo.
Yeah, man, Lapras really good. Dragon Dancing, Water Absorb, really solid there, as you mentioned. I love it as Assault Vest. It's got good coverage options with, like, Thunderbolt and Ice Beam, so that's really cool. You got Miss Magius here, coming in tier 4, I believe. Miss Magius with 105 base speed and 105 special attack, which is really cool. It can hit pretty hard with those Shadow Balls. Does have the ability to set up, and you gotta be really careful. It's got that Levitate, so it can kind of dodge some attacks there. This thing is a great Choice Scarf user as well. Sits in a really good speed tier for Choice Scarf Pokemon, and Ghost is such a spammable attack. Like, Shadow Ball is so spammable to teams that don't have normal types, so I think Miss Magius is just a really solid pick here for the Don fans to kind of round that out. Electrum Z here for the Mankeys. Electrum Z primarily used to pair with that Thunderous, obviously giving him a huge Gigavolt Havoc. Meloetta obviously can benefit from it with Thunder. Are you seeing anything else there? I think that's most of it.
I think that think that's almost. I'm not 100% sure if Dragalge gets it.
No,
Either, but,
maybe it gets Thunderbolt.
big,
Yeah, you know what? I think Dragalge gets Thunderbolt and Thunder.
But definitely a big Gigavolt habit coming off of things like the Meloetta, things like the Thundurus as well, just adding to the wall breaking potential of some of his mons. I think the Z Crystal isn't a. I think the Z Crystal is definitely a supportive role on his team, but it is something to prep for. We see the Milwaukee Beware is grabbing Wigglytuff. You go ahead and take this away, bud.
Yeah, Wigglytuff, man. It's a fairy and normal type Pokemon out of tier 5. Does have a ton of coverage options. With all the defoggers around, competitive Wigglytuff, man, could be a thing. Could get that +2 special attack boost from that and put in some work there. But Wigglytuff just has a ton of coverage options that I mentioned and can be pretty fat and tough to take down. Does get Stealth Rocks as well. We've got Seismitoad here. Does get Stealth Rocks. Does take advantage of Poisonium Z with Sludge Bomb and Sludge Wave, which is really cool. So you could rock with that. But this is just a really good Stealth Rock setter. And only has that one weakness to Grass type Pokemon, which a lot of his other team can handle. Like the Rotom can handle it. Obviously, you know, Necrozma doesn't really care. Nihilego, obviously. So pretty cool stuff there. Knockoff support can be physical or special. Just a really good glue to his team to take a lot of hits. Does have that Water Absorb. You're going to grab Licky Licky. Tell me about your Wi-Fi password, bro.
So yeah, so Licky Licky is a pretty cool Pokemon. Adds to some more bulk. Adds to another Wish supporter that helps Vaporeon, so it takes the Wish support off of Vaporeon as well. Being able to Cleric support, being able to run Swords Dance, and it's just, again, it's a little bit more bulk. I can literally bring Tangrowth, Vaporeon, Registeel, Licky Licky, and then insert 2 other mons every week, and nobody can like really break through that.
We got a Xatu here. Xatu bouncing those hazards away, which is pretty cool. He's got the Magic Bounce ability, making it so those hazards cannot be set up against him with this thing out here. Does have U-turn, which is really cool. Can run Heat Wave, but you don't want to do that in the rain. And obviously can, you know, use Roost and stuff, which is super duper cool. So gotta love that, man. You gotta love this little Xatu pick here. A very good value pick out of tier 4. You know, again, just to kind of keep those hazards off the field, which I think the rest of the team will really definitely appreciate. We've got the New Orleans Pelipper's grabbing Exploud here. Big boomboxing dude here. This dude in tier 4 breaks through walls, man. Choice Specs Boom Burst, very powerful. Obviously, the fact that you can use Scrappy obviously allows it to hit them Ghost type Pokemon with the normal type moves. That's super duper cool. So definitely gotta like that Boom Burst, and it does have other options like Surf and Fire Blast and things like that. So it can hit really hard with those options there. Exploud just a really hard Pokemon to switch into. To finish up this round, the Chim Chargers are going to grab Delphox. I'm a big fan of Delphox. I think it's a really cool Pokemon that has a good amount of speed at, I believe, 104. I love the Power Herb Solar Beam set, where you can benefit from its ability Magician and steal your opponent's item after you use the attack. So there's some really cool stuff that you can do there with Delphox. So that is our round 10 picks there. We've got just 2 rounds left as the teams try to finish up their stuff. Really cool stuff here in round 10. What do you think about some of these picks, Chase?
I like the Exploud pick. I like the Delphox pick. I like the Vikavolt pick, and I like the Alolan Raichu pick overall.
Yeah, man, some really cool stuff, dude. I'm excited about Vikavolt. I'm curious to see how that Electrum Z is going to be used. Some interesting Z crystals, but again, as the Z crystals get taken, you know, the coaches are kind of forced to grab ones that they can try to fit the, you know, to their team the best they can. So you'll see some kind of adjustments there. But I'm really scared of that Durant. I think Durant's a really scary Pokemon there. But let's jump into round 11 right now. And before we jump into the final 2 rounds, just a couple quick shout outs here. I'll do another shout out at the end of the draft, but a couple quick shout outs. I want to shout out my man in Vivid Color, who helped us put together all these draft slides. So thank you, Vivid, for taking the time to do that, to make this streams happen. Thank you to Glitch Like City as always for the music. That's super duper cool. And thank you to all the coaches and all you guys for checking out the stream. And I'm really excited for this season and this league. We try to have a more laid back approach to the league, and I think that allows for more fun battling. You know, we're going to be rocking some cool sets and stuff, like people bring some Mimi type sets and stuff like that. And of course, if you're new to the stream, this is your first time coming to my channel, please be sure to hit that follow button, as I do stream pretty much every single day. I do battles, shiny hunting, Pokemon Quest, my new addiction, so all that good stuff. Let's jump right into round 11 here. We've got the Chim Charger's going to be grabbing Steelium Z to kick off and get his Z Crystal. Steelium Z, very nice for Cobalion. I think that's his primary use for it, obviously with Flash Cannon and Iron Head, but can be used on that Magneton as well. I'm not sure if Diggersby gets any Steel type moves. That might be a thing there. Latias, I'm not really sure if Latias gets Flash Cannon or not, but I think the primary purposes are going to be that Cobalion and Magneton. And actually, now that brings up a good point to me. All the coaches, or most of the coaches, will be doing draft breakdowns, so be sure to check out their YouTube channels after the stream, as they will likely be posting draft breakdowns. You're gonna grab Type Null, man. No, you're not gonna grab Type Null. John's gonna grab Type Null. Tell me about Type Null, though. It's your mascot. You got sniped.
Type Null's a pretty bulky Pokemon. It's got access to Eviolite. It's got some pretty good bulk on it as well. It does provide some good support for the team. It does obviously not have access to like something like RKS system like its evolution does. But I do think Type Null is a pretty solid bulky pick. You know, he's got a lot of offense on his team, and I think this is probably one of the first dedicated bulkier Pokemon that John has access to. I think every week that he does bring this, it's definitely going to be a bit more defensive on his. We've got Duncan knee deep in the Free State Torcats, grabbing Drampa in round 11. Drampa is a pretty interesting Pokemon, normal and dragon type, with the Berserk ability, being able to toss off stab hyper voices, being able to toss off some stab Dracos as well. Just a really good sponge as well. It does provide him a little bit of a ghost ability as well on his team, which up until then, his only real switch into that was Bisharp. But I really do like this. I really like this pick on his team. And I'm going to grab Talonflame.
Yeah, Talonflame, dude.
Talonflame's really cool. I needed a fire type. Talonflame is either Talonflame or Moltres. And Talonflame is really, really cool as far as a free pick goes. It did obviously receive the Gale Wings nerf. However, it still is so very fast with 126 base speed. I don't need to run Brave Bird every week. I can toss off fast Will-O-Wisps. I can do acrobatics. I can have priority defogs if need be. Things like that. I mean, it's just so fast. It just fleshes out the speed tiers just a little bit more, being able to set up moves like Swords Dance as well. Next up, we see Game Boy Luke and the Bristol City Blazekins grabbing Swellow as their 4th free pick. I love Swellow. Great physical mon with Guts, being able to toss off facades at Brave Birds and U-turns, and a great special Pokemon as well with moves like Scrappy, being able to toss off like Specs Boom Burst, being able to just U-turn around, Heat Waves as well. I always love Swellow. It's super fast. It can hit hard on both sides. You really got to be prepared for it, and if you're not prepared for it, you're just going to have a bad time, honestly. It does give him another Defogger as well. Here we see the Milwaukee Beavers grabbing Stoutland, a Sand Abuser for the team. Stoutland obviously having that Scrappy ability as well. Being able to hit really hard with the Sand Rush ability, making it super fast, tossing off some stab returns, superpowers, play roughs, crunches. I mean, it is just an absolute threat. What do you think about this pick?
Yeah, man, it's cool that he's got a Sand Rusher. Obviously didn't have the points or to be able to grab Excadrill, which is still undrafted. Pretty crazy there. But really nice to have that Sand Rusher, which really just makes your opponent think about the speed tiers. Shady Penguin grabbing Avalugg here. Avalugg obviously have access to Rapid Spin to remove hazards. Does get sturdy, which is cool, and can kind of heal itself up in the hail. But this thing is so physically bulky. It's one of the few Pokemon that can take on things like Zygarde relatively well, just because its physical stats are just so bulky. And it does hit pretty hard. Avalanche is a great move on this thing because it's so slow. Can run things like Earthquake. You can also run Mirror Coat on it with like an Assault Vest. So if you can live a special hit or run Sturdy, it can be really solid. Mega Heracross gets taken off the board because Kyle is going to grab Heracross. Heracross is a really powerful Bug-type Pokemon, Fighting-type Pokemon with an 85 base speed, some really cool abilities. And again, the nerf to Burn, doing only 6%, makes it really solid with the Flame Orb Guts. Facade set is really very powerful to deal with. It's so hard to switch into. Mega Horn, close combat. This thing is a tremendous wall breaker and really can open the door for things like a Azumarill to win the game with simply just clicking Aqua Jet. So really cool to see Heracross, one of my favorites in Draft League format. A very good Pokemon. The Cubchoo's grabbing Leafeon here, I believe in tier 5. Leafeon is a bulky grass-type Pokemon with a decent attack stat. Can run Swords Dance to boost attack to some pretty good levels. Does have Chlorophyll to help itself out in the sun. And of course does have access to things like Knockoff, X-Scissor, and physical, Leaf Blade and things like that. So pretty cool Pokemon in general. Obviously just gives him a bulky grass type to kind of round out his team. He's got a lot of pivoting options on this team, and I think Leafeon can definitely do some work with Swords Dance, potentially getting some sweeps there. Data Dave grabbing Vivian. He can use whatever pattern Vivian he wants. That's really up to him. We decided to use this beautiful little purple one here, but hopefully he'll bring the Pokeball Vivian. But I really like the Meadow one and the Monsoon one quite a bit. There's some great patterns of Vivian, but aside from that, I was thinking about how long I could talk about its patterns. Sleep Powder, Quiver Dance, that's really what it does. Compound Eyes allows it to boost its Hurricanes, so it pretty much has 100% accuracy, pretty close, like 97 or whatever. So really powerful there. If it gets up a Quiver Dance and puts something to sleep, it could really solid. I wanted to grab something that pairs with my Rocky MZ. I grabbed Archeops, man. Rocky MZ Head Smash, really cool. Archeops has an incredible physical attack. It's 110 speed, so it's pretty fast. And it's just a really hard-hitting Pokemon. It's got a great special attack stat, too. Obviously has that terrible ability in Defiant, but not Defiant. Defeatist. But I felt like this was still a really good pick, and it just hits really, really hard with Rocky MZ. So I felt like there's going to be very few switch-ins to, me clicking Rocky MZ with head smash and then just clicking head smash. I feel like that's really valuable. Talk to me about Ground EMZ though, Chase.
So yeah, so Ground MZ is a really cool Z Crystal to have on this team. There's a lot of Pokemon that just abuse it in general. It was my Z Crystal last season. Pokemon like Garchomp can really abuse that. Pokemon like the Miltank, Pokemon like the Aggron can abuse that as well. Being able to toss off some really hard-hitting Earthquakes, just SD Ground EMZ, you really almost need immunity for Pokemon like Garchomp to abuse this Ground EMZ. It hits so very, very hard. Other Pokemon on that list might also get moves like Dig, Mud Slap, and stuff like that to abuse it as well, which would be very interesting to see. We've got Numb Nexus and the Pittsburgh Pichu's grabbing Azelf, fleshing out the speed tiers just a little bit more. The base 115, great offensive Pokemon overall. Being able to be a fast taunt user, being able to be a fast stealth rocker, which does take the pressure off of his Nidoqueen as well. He can abuse the Fire MZ with Fire MZ Fire Blast, Fire MZ Fire Punch, depending on how he decides to run it. I believe also maybe even a Fire MZ Sunny Day set as well, if I'm not mistaken. But it is a really solid Psychic-type Pokemon to add to his roster. We see Deathly and the Seattle Drizzlers grabbing Masquerain as their third free pick. Talk to me a little bit about the bug.
Yeah, man, I love this thing because it has Sticky Webs, which is really cool. It has Intimidate, which can reduce the opponent's attack stat. Quiver Dance, allowing it to boost its stats to pretty high levels there. And again, does have access to U-Turn too, which is really cool. So it can set up those webs, U-Turn out. Generally uses a supporting option though to set up webs, which I think will be really nice with Victini. I think be able to set up webs for Victini to potentially click V-Creates. Very solid stuff there. The Nidokings grabbing Cryogonal here in tier 5. Cryogonal is actually one of the few Pokemon that can Rapid Spin and Defog, which is really cool. So if they bring a Ghost type to stop the Rapid Spin, you can run Defog instead to remove those hazards. I really like the fact that it gets Freeze Dry, one of the best offensive moves in the game, being able to hit those bulky water types with a super effective type attack, and does get priority in Ice Shard, which is kind of weird, but very, very specially bulky. 105 base speed is pretty cool, and it does have Levitate, so you gotta like that as well. So lots of really cool Pokemon there for the Nidokings. And to round out round 11, we've got Rhyperior here for the Marauders. Rhyperior is a very bulky rock-type Pokemon with an insane attack stat. Obviously, that solid rock ability is going to reduce the power of super effective moves, but that's not going to help it too much against grass and water-type moves, but nevertheless, really hard-hitting Pokemon and a reliable stealth rocker. Round 11 is done. Just one round left to go. Some incredible stuff still on the board, but don't forget that even though things like X-Control are still available, not everyone has the points to grab them, so some Pokemon may just totally get undrafted. Chase, what do you think about round 11?
Round 11 is really cool. I think how many more coaches? I know I still need my Z Crystal. How many more coaches still need a Z? But we see a lot of interesting picks. Azelf, I think, is probably my favorite pick of the round. Swellow, Archeops are also some other really good picks this round. Interested to see how the teams are finalized with this last round, honestly.
Yeah, for sure. So let's not waste any time. Let's jump right into the final round. The final round of the WBE Season 2 draft stream is starting now. Before we do that, though, the final shout-outs to every single person I want to shout out. Again, thank you, In Vivid Color, for taking the time to help us with the graphics here. Thank you to everyone who's watching the stream and all the coaches who are super-duper awesome for making that happen. Week 1 matches will be going up next week, of course, so on Saturdays, we'll be all posting the matches. Guys, please check out every coach. !WBE will give you a document to see the draft. You can see all the coaches' Twitters there. Please go check them out. Follow them on Twitter. Subscribe to everyone's channel. All that stuff. All the rules are in that document as well. So let's jump right into it. Round 12. Let's make it happen. The Marauders are grabbing Grassium Z. What a surprise. Tapu Bulu, Heatran. Really, really like that Grassium Z. Obviously, with Tapu Bulu getting the Grassium Z Woodhammers, and then, of course, Heatran being able to run Grassium Z Solar Beam to break through bulky water types. What do you think, Chase?
Honestly, the only other Pokemon I can see abusing it might be like Grass Knot with Mienshao, but I really do like that. Some powerful Woodhammers coming off, some powerful Solar Beams coming off with the train as well. Very solid pickup by the Marauders. I think this team is definitely something to be afraid of. I think he's got a lot of good cores here. He's got a lot of offensive pressure as well. We see Patters and the Newcastle Nidokings rounding out their team with Kecleon out of their last free slot. I think it's a really cool pick. I think having Protean Kecleon is awesome. Being able to pair that with maybe like a Fightium Z, I know it does get a few different fighting moves. Being able to Shadow Sneak around, being able to Fake Out, being able to just give itself some own immunities. It's a great rocker as well. It takes pressure off of things like Crocodile, being the only rocker on the team. So that is something to note as well. I think it does provide, like I said, a little bit more special bulk here. We see a very late round pick from Tyler and the Seattle Drizzlers. We see Doug Trio coming in Arena Trap Doug Trio going the last round overall. I am absolutely floored.
I love this pick. Yeah, I love this pick.
I think it's absolutely great. I think it helps out with those steel types that Mega Scissor doesn't appreciate. I think it helps out with those steel types the Primarina doesn't appreciate. And just being able to launch off some huge earthquakes, being able to take Rock's pressure off of some of his other mons as well, actually. Yeah, being able to take Rock's pressure off of Hitmontop and Cradily too. Nexus and the Pittsburgh Pichus grabbing Floatzel as their tier 5, a very fast water type Pokemon. Now he not only has defensive water in Jellicent, but he has offensive water as well. Really good Swift Swim abuser too against Duncan Drain, being able to hit very hard on both the physical side and the special side as well. I think it is an incredible pick here. How do you feel about the Floatzel pick?
Yeah, man, cool Pokemon, dude. Like you said, I've seen it used like especially offensive and physically offensive. So just a really solid pick there in tier 5. Yanmega, really great Pokemon here to go in round 12. Yanmega with the tinted lens ability can really break through things. It can fire off some super powerful bug buzzes and air slashes, and it can also run that speed boost ability to boost its speed to some pretty crazy levels and be difficult to switch into. Obviously has a huge crippling weakness to Stealth Rocks, but with a Decidueye and a Hitmonchan able to, and Zapdos as well, able to kind of mitigate those hazards, I feel like Yanmega can actually be pretty functional in this team. So very cool Pokemon there. I'm gonna grab Girder as my final pick. I needed the tier 5. I wanted the fighting type, so Girder kind of fit the mold there. Girder with Eviolite is very bulky and has priority with Mach Punch. I think this thing is really cool under Trick Room as well. But I also like the fact that it with Bulk Up and with Guts, it can take on a lot of different physical attackers and also doesn't have to be status. Shouts to my man Pie Master, by the way. Oh my gosh, dude. 20,000 bits from Pie Master just came in. He is hyped for the draft, dude. Show some love to Pie Master, guys. Drop some hearts in the chat for that. Thank you, my man. Thank you, Justin, as always, dude, for all the love and support in the dream here, bro. Chase, talk to me about Hitmonlee here for the Crocorox.
Hitmonlee is pretty cool. Hitmonlee does provide him some more hazard removal support from things like Serena. Does provide him different sorts of priority with Mach Punch. Does provide him a little bit of a setup sweeper. Reckless high jump kicks are absolutely incredible. Doesn't abuse the Ferium Z Crystal too much yet, but it does, like I said, round out a little bit more offensive pressure that he was lacking. High jump kick is a really hard move to switch into, being able to bulk up, being able to go for it endure, being able to use not only that, but the unburden as well. This monster went round 12. Elliot and the Chicago Cubchus grabbing Dragonite.
That?
Oh my god, that is incredible. It's been a minute since I've seen Dragonite drafted, honestly, but Dragonite is incredible. Dragon and flying type, being able to set up Dragonites does have the multi-scale ability to prevent some big damage coming out from full health, being able to attack, especially being able to attack physically, being able to attack with priority and extreme speed too. We see it, Kyle A, the only coach that matters, grabbing the only spider that matters in Ariados out of tier 5. What do you think about Ariados on this?
Toxic Spikes and Sticky Webs, man. I think that's really solid. Again, just trying to find ways to support that Azumarill and that Charizard. I think that's a really good strategy there. Be able to set up those hazards, and the fact that he is relying on a Rapid Spinner, not a Defogger, to remove hazards, you got to really like that. That Dawn Fan will really pair nicely with this, but really cool stuff there. Shady Penguin grabbing Guzzlord to round things out here. Guzzlord gives him a Dragon and a Dark-type Pokemon, which I definitely like. It's a very bulky Pokemon with Beast Boost, which I think is really cool. I think Beast Boost, Guzzlord here can be really powerful. It's got great, special coverage. Can run physical attack as well with like knockoff and stuff. So really cool stuff there from Shady Penguin in his return to Draft League format. We'll see if he's dropping a Dracos here with that Guzzlord. Very cool stuff there. We've got the Bewares grabbing Munium Z. So a unique pick here for the Bewares, grabbing a Z Crystal that only works on one Pokemon, which may impact the way people prep for him. But Munium Z allows Mew to run a very powered up psychic move that sets up psychic terrain afterwards, thus making Mew immune to priority moves. So it can take on those sucker punches and those all sorts of stuff, bullet punches and whatever else, which is very cool. So he only can run it on Mew, but it sets up psychic terrain, so that's pretty crazy. The Blaziken's grabbing Vanillux here, setting up the Hail with Vanillux. Chase, what do you think about this?
I like Vanillux, being able to set up the Hail, being an Atomized Sweeper, being able to just be like a Specs abuser of its own Hail with moves like Blizzard, with moves like Flash Cannon, moves like Freeze Dry. Very solid Ice-type Pokemon. I really think that Ice typing in the format is something that can definitely abuse. I don't feel like there's too many people that prepare for Twitch-ins for that. So Vanillux being a great special threat for the Blaziken's team does add out to that. I don't believe it can abuse the Poisonium Z too much. Speaking of offensive ice, I'm going to grab ICMZ.
I like it.
And my reasoning for that is I don't believe anybody drafted a switch into ICMZ Free Shock from Kieran Black. So really don't have anything else to talk about that. Other than that, though, Z Haze on moves like on Pokemon like Vaporeon.
I have a Kieran Black response in Empoleon, my friend.
All right, bud. All right, you keep thinking that. But like different ice moves, Z Ice Punch on Licky Licky and things like that. Like I said, just different Pokemon can abuse that. That's speaking of big balls. We've got Duncan knee deep in the Free State Torracats, grabbing Ferroseed here, a grass and steel type Pokemon that definitely appreciates the rain that Politoed can set for it. Great hazards as well. Being able to toss up those spikes, being able to toss up those rocks, being able to provide speed control, move Thunder Wave as well. I think it is a very, very solid tier 5 pick for the Torracats. What do you think, Dan?
Yeah, man, I love it. I love the rain kind of reducing that big weakness to fire there. We're going to see this Z Crystal here, which is Dragonium Z. Dragonium Z pairing with that Mega Latios, so he can run regular Latios with Dragonium Z, which is phenomenal. That's really the only thing on his team that's really going to benefit a ton from the Dragon Z, but it's a really good pair in general, being able to just click Draco Meteor and not be Mega. So you're expecting him to be Mega, and then he's not. He can be Dragon Dancing Mega Latios instead with Dragon Z. So he's got some options there, which I think is really cool. Z Outrage Incineroar apparently is a thing. And to finish up round 12, Dusk Noir for the Chim Chargers. Dusk Noir, a very bulky ghost-type Pokemon with some really cool elemental punches. Does a lot of work there, and you know, it's just pretty bulky, man. It's got Will-O-Wisp and stuff like that. So that is our draft here, Chase. That is round 12. What do you think? A lot of Z crystals going. The final 4 Z crystals. Any final thoughts here for the round 12 picks?
Round 12 picks. I like Munium Z. If anybody's going to use it well, like I said about it when he drafted Mew, if anybody's going to use it well, it's going to be the world champ. I think the Girder pick is pretty solid. I think the last round Dragonite pick is absolutely horrendous and disgusting and gross. And yeah, I still am biased, and I think ICMZ Kieran Black is just absolutely fantastic. Yeah,
love it, man. Love it. So, thank you so much, Crimson Seabad, for joining me on this draft stream, and thank you to all the amazing coaches who are a part of this season. It is going to be an awesome season. I'm really excited about it. Again, matches are going to start on Saturday next week. I know Chase is facing the Chim Chargers and Lord Envy in week 1, and I'm going to be facing Numb Nexus in week 1, but definitely hit up all your favorite coaches and find out what they're bringing. Be sure to follow everyone on Twitter, subscribe to everyone's channel so you don't miss the matches, and of course, keep in mind this is a fun league meant for entertainment. At the end of the day, we're all just trying to have a good time and battle against some YouTube friends, so please, I always ask that you guys keep it positive in the comment section. That's why we don't have an analyst team. That's why we don't have a separate Twitter. That's why we don't have a separate channel. It's all about just trying to have fun with a bunch of YouTube friends. So enjoy the matches, enjoy the heat, enjoy the games. Thank you guys so much again. Shout out to In Vivid Color for making all the graphics, Glitch City for providing the music as always, my co-host Crimson Seabad. Thank you to everyone who came by and watched the stream, tweeted it, shared it, all that stuff. Be sure to hit that follow button on the stream if you haven't checked out my content before. I'd really appreciate a follow here on Twitch. I stream Pokemon stuff pretty much every single day, and the draft stream will be available on youtube.com/xadr1v3, my YouTube channel, in a few hours when I get a chance to get it set up there. Go check out everyone's draft analysis videos. They'll be uploading them this weekend. Chase, any final words for you, my friend?
Exclamation point nulls in the chat. Enjoy
That's
your weekend,
it.
guys.
Check it out. Check out all the coaches, exclamation point nulls, exclamation point Chim Chargers, etc., etc. Big shouts to Pie Master, of course, today, who held it down with a ton of support today. Thank you, Justin, as always, man. Thank you for the love. And thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed this draft stream on your Saturday. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday. I'll be back again tomorrow. That's going to be it for me, guys, for the rest of the WBE. My name is Dan. I also go by aDrive, and I will catch you guys next time. Peace.